Chapter 162. Elder Yen suddenly felt dizzy and plopped down beside Yenron's bed. Huagang was startled and hurriedly asked, "Elder Yen, are you all right?" Elder Yan's mind was in a mess at this time. He had some hope at first, but he didn't expect the reality to be so cruel. He had tested it himself and found that Yenran had indeed become an ordinary person. He didn't expect that his dearest granddaughter would really suffer such a disaster. Without spiritual power, how could he establish a foothold in the cultivation world? And without Yenran, how could the southern families establish a foothold in the cultivation world? Elder Yen felt his blood rushing up and suddenly coughed violently. Huagang hurriedly poured a glass of water. While Elder Yen was coughing, he slipped a small elixir from his sleeve and dissolved it in the water. It was colorless and odorless and didn't cause any ripples. "Elder Yen, drink some water quickly. Don't hurt your body," Huagang said very sincerely and patted Elder Yan's back with his hand. Seeing Elder Yen drinking up the glass of water, Huagang smiled with satisfaction in his heart. His task was finally completed. But he still kept calm and kept comforting, "Elder Yen, don't worry. Yenran lost her spiritual power in the Yin-Yang formation. Maybe one day she will recover automatically." Elder Yen looked up at him with sharp eyes. "Huagang, why did Yenran lose all her spiritual power?" Huagang suddenly felt the pressure around him and cold sweat ran down his back. His heart skipped a beat. Could it be that Yenran found something wrong? "Elder Yen, I don't know the details. But when she came out of the Yin-Yang formation, she was seriously injured and lost all her spiritual power. We found her lying on the side of the road when we retreated, so we saved her." "Who told you she was in the Yin-Yang formation?" Huagang realized that he seemed to have said too much. In fact, it was Yi Xuanfei who told him the cause and effect. He accidentally said it. He lowered his head and immediately thought of an answer in his mind. "Yenran told me before she fainted." Elder Yen raised his hand and a strong wind directly swept Huagang to the wall. "Yenran is seriously injured and her spiritual power is exhausted. I don't believe she still has the strength to speak. Now she has lost both her qi and blood. She won't wake up at all. Tell me honestly, who hurt Yenran?" Elder Yan's anger at this time, all on Huagang. Huagang was squeezed in the corner and couldn't raise his head. His mouth and nose were sealed, and his chest was crushed like a boulder. He couldn't move at all, as if he was embedded in a wall. Every cell in his body was screaming that it was going to be crushed. He couldn't help but regret it. If Elder Yan's spirit-transforming pill didn't work, then he would die without a burial place. The strong pressure had made Huagang lose all hope of survival. He had never felt death so close to him. Just when Huagang's eyes were about to pop out and his pupils were dilated, Elder Yen, who was sitting by the bed, suddenly swayed and fell off the bed. Huagang finally pulled back from the brink of death. He leaned against the corner, motionless. The only thing he could feel was his rapid breathing and his bulging eyes. At this time, the door of the ward was pushed open and Elder Yi appeared in the room with Yi Xuanfei. Seeing the situation in the room, Elder Yi laughed. "Elder Yen, we have fought for most of our lives, but you still lost to me in the end. You lost to me, your granddaughter lost to my granddaughter. Ha 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 ha." Elder Yen struggled to get up from the ground. He was ready to release his pressure, but at this moment, he found that his spiritual power was gone. He suddenly looked up and stared at Huagang, who was leaning against the wall. The look in his eyes was as if he would chop him into pieces. "It's you?" It was not a question, but a statement. Huagang was recovering from the brink of death. He no longer had to pretend to be a yes-man. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and sneered. "Elder Yen, to tell you the truth, the water you just drank contained the spiritual transformation pill. Your spiritual power is now gone, just like Yenran." Huagang spoke intermittently and took a lot of effort, but the pride and cruelty in his tone were incisive and ruthless. "Why? Why do you have to do this? We are all cultivators. Why do we have to kill each other? Have you forgotten your mission?" Elder Yen finally understood the whole story. Elixirs and formations were the strengths of the Eastern aristocratic families, but he had never thought that they would use this kind of crooked method on their own people. Ha ha ha, ridiculous. You, old man, are still living with that one in your arms. Times have changed, and it is no longer the belief passed down by our ancestors. You are too righteous and have been hated by the higher-ups of the human race. Of course, you can't survive if you block other people's way of making money. Your subordinate, Huagang, is a wise man who submits to circumstances. He has long seen through the essence of the cultivation world and volunteered to join our aristocratic family in the East. You are his sign of allegiance. Elder Yen wanted to rush up and strangle Huagang, but he had lost all his spiritual power and was very weak. He was now an ordinary old man. How could he fight against the young and powerful Zishuan master Huagang? Then let me ask you, Huagang, what is going on between you and my granddaughter? Is the video real or fake? I like Yanran. Of course, that's true. I've liked her since I was a child. But what about her? How did she treat me? Aside from liking that gigolo, she treated me like trash. She summoned me and dismissed me as she pleased. Why? I can't accept that I can't have her, so I want power. Is there anything wrong with that? Whether the cultivation world becomes what the southern aristocratic families want or what the eastern aristocratic families want, it depends on who can live better. People in the cultivation world are also people. Who doesn't want to stand at the top of power? But I will always be a servant under Yanran. Why can't I get higher power when I have the ability and talent? Huagang began to shout hysterically at the end. You trash who have lost your faith because of wealth and power. No wonder my granddaughter doesn't like you. It's superfluous to call you trash. If cultivators work for tigers, the whole society will be in chaos. Is this what you want to see? Elder Yen was already out of breath. Well, Elder Yen, do you think it's necessary for us to argue about these righteous dogmas? You and Yanran are like this now. I have taken over your southern aristocratic families. Huagang has done a lot for us. Many people have been dissatisfied with the management of the southern aristocratic families for a long time and are willing to join us. And those who are really like you have their spiritual power dissolved by us. Then they can be ordinary people. In the future, you still need to rely on us to protect you. Ha 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 ha. Elder Yen spat out a mouthful of blood. Without spiritual power to protect his body, his brain was blocked by blood clots and he fainted immediately. Come, call the doctor. There is an old woman here who has a cerebral hemorrhage and needs to be treated quickly. Don't get a stroke or something like that. She will need someone to take care of her for the rest of her life. Elder Yi laughed and turned to leave the ward. Yi Xuanfei, who was following behind, glanced at Yanran lying on the bed and sneered. Yanran, just you wait. I will make you pay for all the humiliation you have brought me since I was a child. This is just the beginning. When Yi Xuanfei turned and was about to leave, she heard Huagang standing in the corner suddenly stand up and say, Miss Yi, may I have the honor to treat you to a cup of coffee? At this time, Huagang had recovered from the embarrassment just now. He tidied his clothes, smoothed his hair, and showed what he thought was the most charming smile. His eyes were full of admiration and he looked at Yi Xuanfei with enthusiasm and determination. Yi Xuanfei stared at Huagang for a long time. He was also a sunny and handsome boy, but compared to Qiao Xiao, who she admired the most, he was much worse. Thinking of her Prince Charming, her heart ached. The yin-yang formation, yin and yang separated. The boy who had once moved her heart would never come back. There would never be a second Qiao Xiao in the world. Yi Xuanfei suddenly smiled at Huagang sexily. Okay, I like to drink coffee with handsome guys. Then she turned and walked out. Huagang took one last look at Elder Yen and Yanran. A nurse had found Elder Yan's miserable condition and was hurriedly calling the doctor. The two pillars of the Nangong family had fallen, and there was nothing to be reluctant to leave. Huagang resolutely left with Yi Xuanfei. Looking at the small waist swaying in front of him, Huagang suddenly found that this woman was more attractive to him than Yanran. Was his brain damaged in the past? Were his eyes blind? Or was it just because of Yenron's power and status that he fell in love with her like a moth darting into a flame? And now Yi Xuanfei's halo was even brighter than Yenron's. The noblest princess in the whole cultivation world was right in front of him. If he fell in love with her, he would have the whole cultivation world. What was there to hesitate about? This was Hua Gang's new goal. He was going to fight for it. The room finally quieted down. The doctor also sent a few people to move Elder Yen to the emergency room for emergency treatment. The cold and beautiful woman lying on the bed seemed to be shrouded in a nightmare. She was sleeping very restlessly. The noise in the room had already woken her up a little, but her eyelids were very heavy, and there was a lot of noise outside. She couldn't hear what was being said at all. She only felt that it was like a fly buzzing around her ears. Yenran wanted to drive them away, but she couldn't lift her arms or move her body. She could only endure it. After a long time, the flies finally left and the room became quiet. But she was still trapped in her own nightmare. Where was she? Was she still in the formation? The woman's voice in Yinyang town was still echoing in her ears. She saw Yi Xuanfei and Qiao Xiao. Why was Qiao Xiao there? Why did he enter the Yang formation? Yin and Yang were separated, Yin and Yang were separated, Yin and Yang were separated. Yenran suddenly shouted, "Qiao Xiao!" She opened her eyes instantly. Chapter 163. She saw a white ceiling. The empty room was mainly white. Other than the simple curtains and cabinets, there was only the bed she was lying on. The unique smell of disinfectant hit her nose. Yenron's eyes moved slightly. She wanted to move her hands and feet, but then she found that it was difficult for her to even move her fingers. She felt a throbbing pain in her abdomen. She remembered that in order to get out of the Yin formation, she had stabbed herself. Later, she saw Yi Xuanfei and Qiao Xiao. Then, Qiao Xiao was locked in the Yang formation, separated from her forever. Yenron's heart suddenly ached. "Qiao Xiao, can you still come out?" She raised her hand with difficulty, wanting to fumble for her phone. When she was on the mission, her phone was placed in her pocket. But she found that she had been changed into a hospital gown. Her clothes, phone, and the totem on her chest were all gone. She couldn't help but feel nervous. That was the totem that Qiao Xiao had given her. She moved her right hand and pulled the bell at the bedside with difficulty. This action made her break out in a cold sweat. Soon, a nurse came. When the nurse saw that Yenran had woken up, she said to her, "You're finally awake. You're really lucky. You've circled around the gates of hell and now you're finally out of danger." Yenran said weakly in a hoarse voice, "Where are my clothes and phone?" The nurse took her temperature and replied, "Don't worry. We've kept your clothes and phone for you. When you were sent here, you were in a deep coma and your body was a mess with bloodstains. Originally, I wanted to help you throw away all your clothes, but then I thought that you might be reluctant to do so, so we put them all in a bag. We also put a very beautiful gemstone in it for you. It's at the bottom of the cabinet. Can I trouble you to help me get my phone?" Yenran's weak voice sounded again. The nurse helped Yenran take the phone and continued to say to her, "You need to call your family to help. The old man who came to see you is also in the emergency treatment now. You need to ask his family to come and pay the money quickly." Yenran didn't understand. "What do you mean? Which old man?" "It's the old man who came to see you." "Oh, but you didn't wake up just now, so you probably don't know. That old man came to see you with a man. Later, a man and a woman came. They were arguing fiercely in the room. In the end, that old man suddenly had a stroke and was sent to the emergency room. Later, the man who came with him actually left." The nurse chatted for a while and roughly explained the cause and effect. Yenron's heart tightened. Could it be her grandfather? She immediately dialed her grandfather's number, but no one answered. She then dialed her father's number, and his dear mother answered. As soon as the phone was picked up, there was the sound of her mother and Yenghua crying. "Yenran, something big happened at home. I don't know why your father lost all his spiritual power, and your grandfather can't be contacted now. Something big happened to the Nangwa family. Yenron's phone fell to the ground with a clatter. She immediately wanted to get up from the bed. The nurse was shocked. You can't move now. Once the wound opens, even the gods can't save you. I have to go back. I have something very important to do. Yenran struggled to get up. However, the nurse was very strong. She immediately pressed Yenran back to the bed. I said you can't move, so you can't move. You are now a patient. You have to listen to the doctor and the nurse. Yenran was about to resist, but suddenly found that a sense of fear came to her heart. Yenran reached into her dantian, but it was empty. She tried to explore through her meridians, but they seemed to be asleep. Yenron's eyelashes trembled. The nurse was still nagging her not to move, but Yenron's ears seemed to be blocked. The nurse's moving figure became double in front of her eyes. Was it all a dream? A line of clear tears fell from the corner of Yenron's eyes. Don't be sad. You'll be fine in 2 days. After you leave the hospital, you'll be alive and kicking again. After the nurse said this, she tucked Yenran in the quilt and walked out of the room. Yenran lay weakly on the bed. A series of tears slid down Yenron's sorrowful face silently. In just a short while, the pillow was wet. She subconsciously closed her eyes. Her nose was sour. Perhaps she was afraid that she would cry out loud. She subconsciously bit her lower lip. After a while, she cried even harder. It was a silent kind of heart-wrenching cry. Yenran covered her eyes with her trembling hands. After a long time, she slowly moved them away. She felt that this second was like an entire spring, summer, autumn, and winter. An intense sadness came crashing down on Yenran like a mountain. Her hands and feet were numb. Her blood had solidified. Her heart was about to suffocate. It was as if a sharp knife had pierced into her heart. Her internal organs were about to rupture. Countless leaves fell outside the window, as if they were going to swallow up Yenron's whole world. After about 10 days, Yenran and Grandpa Yen could finally leave the hospital. Grandpa Yen had a mild cerebral infarction because of the blood in his heart. The blood clot in his brain blocked part of his functions. The left side of his face was stiff, which was commonly known as facial paralysis. In the past few days, one blow after another came one after another. First, familiar subordinates kept leaving the organization. Then, some senior elders had their spiritual power taken away. Some of the businesses of the noble families in the south had their capital chain broken. Some of the benefits provided by the government and the bank suddenly disappeared. Some of the accumulated wealth of the family was used to make up for the hole formed by the capital chain. Yenran knew that at this time, there would be a lot of people who would hit her when she was down, but she didn't expect that in an instant, it would be like a skyscraper falling apart. Some of her original friends would hide whenever they saw them, hoping that a certain senior would speak up for them. However, after so many years of business, they actually ended up with a dead number. The world was cold, and people's hearts were unpredictable. Only now did Yenran truly understand the cruelty of society. The nurses in the hospital were quite familiar with the two of them, especially Yenran. Since she woke up, she basically hadn't said a word, let alone smiled. Her whole person was like a moving iceberg, and there was always frost within 3 feet of her. Seeing that she didn't speak, the nurse became more talkative. You're a girl. Why do you always pull a long face? You're quite pretty. Who would like you like this? Your grandpa only had a mild cerebral infarction. It's natural for old people to have these problems. Don't be too sad. Your injury will be healed soon. What's there to be unhappy about? You have to remember that people can't get depression. If you get depression, it'll be a heart disease. Heart disease is the most difficult to treat. You're young and you have hands and feet. What can't you get over? You said that you were injured by a knife before. Are you trying to commit suicide by yourself? Whether it's a relationship dispute or betrayal, these things don't matter. Everything will pass. You have to be strong. You still have a family to take care of. Your family will be more worried about you. The nurse was kind-hearted, but every word she said was like a cloud floating in Yenron's ears, leaving no trace. Today, Yanran and Grandpa Yan could finally leave the hospital. Just as they were about to leave, Grandpa Yi Xuanfei, and Hua Gang appeared in front of them again as winners. Yanran already knew the whole story. She was even colder. She stood in front of her grandpa and said expressionlessly, "What are you doing here?" "Yanran, we're just here to see your grandpa." "Oh, what's wrong with him? Why does he have facial paralysis? Will he have to sit in a wheelchair in the future?" The leader of the southern aristocratic family actually ended up like this. "I'm so sad to see him like this." Grandpa Yen was so angry that his eyes widened. His mouth trembled and he couldn't say a complete sentence. Because of his excitement, there was a line of saliva hanging from the corner of his mouth. Yanran hurried forward and pressed Grandpa Yan's shoulders. "Grandpa, these are scumbags. Don't worry about them. Don't be agitated again. Otherwise, you'll take advantage of them." Grandpa Yi looked at Grandpa Yen and felt very happy. "After fighting with me for so many years, you finally have a happy ending. Stay at home and take care of yourself." Yi Xuanfei was even more proud. "Yanran, you can't control your grandpa. Look at yourself. What else do you have besides spiritual power?" Yi Xuanfei went forward and hooked Yanran's chin. Yanran slapped her hand away. Yi Xuanfei didn't care. She released a little spiritual power and circled Yanran's neck. Yanran immediately felt like a big hand was strangling her neck. She couldn't breathe in an instant. Her face turned red. She desperately protected her neck with her hands and slowly curled up and sat on the ground. "Xuanfei, don't make a scene in the hospital." Grandpa stopped Yi Xuanfei. As soon as Yi Xuanfei stopped, Yanran immediately bent down in pain and coughed desperately. "I really don't know how you seduced Xiao Xiao. All the men in the world are blind to like you. Now you don't even have the spiritual power that you're proud of. What are you going to do in the future? I'm worried about you just thinking about it. But you still have your face and figure. You can still use them in the future." Hua Gang looked at Yanran in such a sorry state, and his original trace of heartache disappeared. What right did an ordinary person have to stand by his side? The three of them laughed wildly and walked out of the ward. There was even a burst of laughter from afar. Yanran squatted on the ground. She had stopped coughing. At this time, her heart was like steel. After being heated and cooled many times, it became harder and harder. She pushed Grandpa Yan's wheelchair. "Grandpa, let's go home." "Miss Yanran." A low male voice sounded from behind. Yanran looked back and saw an old man in his 50s standing at the door of the ward. His eyes were as deep as the sea, and he should have seen everything that had happened just now. Chapter 164. Uncle Wu. Uncle Wu came here a few days ago. Yanran called him to tell him about Xiao Xiao's situation. Uncle Wu went to the factory first, but he couldn't find Xiao Xiao anywhere. He came to the hospital and paid for Yanran and Elder Yan's medical expenses. He gave them the best medical facilities. Yanran respected and appreciated this old man from the bottom of her heart. Yanran helplessly twitched the corner of her mouth. "Uncle Wu, I've made you laugh." "Miss Yanran, can I have a word with you?" Yanran looked at Elder Yan, who waved his hand. Yanran and Uncle Wu walked to the side. "What the hell is going on? Who are those people?" Uncle Wu asked seriously. "Uncle Wu, this is a matter of our world of cultivation." Yanran instinctively wanted to hide it. "Miss Yanran, you are the crown princess chosen by our crown prince. Please don't treat me as an outsider. I think these people are full of malice to you. They don't look like people from your world of cultivation. Please tell me the truth." The words crown princess hit Yanran's heart like a hammer. Yanran seemed to have been seen through. She stammered, "Uncle Wu, Xiao Xiao is joking. Don't listen to him. He's not joking. You are his crown princess. This is something that he has decided for a long time. Crown prince is like this. Although he likes to play, he values friendship and righteousness. If he knows that you are wronged, he will fight with others. Just tell me. Although we don't know much about your world of cultivation, it's good to have someone to give us advice in other aspects. Yenran looked at Uncle Wu, whose hair had already turned white. Her nose turned sour, and she was about to burst into tears. Uncle Wu, we don't know if Xiao Xiao is dead or alive. Our family has also suffered a great disaster. My heart. Yenran couldn't continue. She squatted down in front of Uncle Wu and covered her face with her hands. Her shoulders shook violently, and her hair fell down like a black waterfall, covering her expression. Uncle Wu also squatted down, facing Yenran face to face. Miss Yenran, you have to believe in young master. He will definitely find a way to come back. I believe in him, so you must also believe in him. I just heard that you have lost your spiritual power. Don't be discouraged. Young master told me that you are refining the hibiscus chart. The crown prince and crown princess of the devil world will not be defeated by any demons or ghosts. Only you can crush them. Yenran raised her face and looked at Uncle Wu with tears in her eyes. Only at this time did she look like a little girl of her age. Miss Yenran, sometimes this is also a good thing. You can take off the burden on your shoulders and start over. Uncle Wu patted her shoulder and stuffed a small bag into her hand. You must remember that you are the crown princess of the devil world. Also, if you don't have enough money, you can tell me again. Uncle Wu's words were like a sea-calming needle, making Yenron's heart suddenly calm down. The ups and downs of the past few days made her feel like a helpless duckweed in the water. She didn't know where to go, but this kind and wise old man showed her a clear path. When God closed a door for her, he opened a window at the same time. Uncle Wu waved his hand and said goodbye to him. You go back and recuperate first. I will look for young master here. After Uncle Wu left, Yenran opened the small bag. There were 3 bottles of elixirs and a bank card in the bag. As soon as she opened the delicate porcelain bottle, the fragrance of the elixir overflowed. She knew it was the best quality elixir at a glance. On the other bank card, there was a note that said, "The password is your birthday." Yenron's hand trembled. She didn't care about her birthday. She had been cultivating for so many years that her birthday had long faded from her mind. Sometimes it was just a bowl of longevity noodles that her mother gave her, and sometimes it was directly passed by in the process of cultivation. Xiao Xiao didn't know when he knew her birthday. Uncle Wu, the old man, didn't say anything, but he had already arranged everything for her. She went to the ATM downstairs in the hospital and checked the amount inside. The last 8 zeros blinded her eyes. At this second, tears burst out of her eyes again. How could this narcissistic boy be so good to her? Xiao Xiao, who was far away in another space, suddenly sneezed. A group of warcraft had just rushed past him. He was smart enough to hide behind a tree in time. He said to Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming in the bracelet, "I haven't gone out for so long. Yenran must have missed me. She missed me so much that I sneezed." Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming said leisurely, "You are narcissistic. How can Yenran be busy with you? She is busy catching bad guys." "Hey, do you think Yenran was injured that day? Is she okay? I was so worried. This damn place is a primitive forest. I couldn't find the exit after walking for so many days. Do you want to trap me here? Who told you to be so impulsive? You just had to jump in with Yi Xuanfei. Why didn't you jump into the Yin formation after jumping for so long? Why did you have to be separated from them by Yin and Yang? Aren't you looking for trouble?" Kong Xiaoming was still scolding Xiao Xiao. "Kong Xiaoming, you dare say that? You are the biggest scammer of the century. You claim that you are the demonic sky array that can break any array formation." After saying that, Xiao Xiao wanted to viciously beat Kong Xiaoming up. Speaking of this, Kong Xiaoming shrank his neck. "You can't blame me. This yin-yang formation might not be in this book. Maybe it is the sequel. Then what should we do now? Yenran is still waiting for me to save her." Xiao Xiao was angry and anxious. He was trapped in this broken formation and couldn't get out. Kong Xiaoming rolled his eyes in his heart. It had been so long. If Yen Ran was not dead, she would have been revived a long time ago. Why would she wait for you? However, he didn't dare to say this in front of Xiao Xiao. Yen Ran was Xiao Xiao's reverse scale. He couldn't say anything bad about her. After Xiao Xiao came to this primitive forest, he thought that he had returned to the devil world. However, after walking for a few days, he found that the aura of the animals here was completely different from the aura of the devil world. These animals didn't have the slightest respect for him, the prince of the devil world. It seemed that they were not of the same bloodline. What the hell was this place? Could it be the legendary magic beast forest? After so many days of research, my preliminary judgment is that this should be a good place. This is a paradise for cultivators. Kong Ming pushed Kong Xiaoming aside. He sat upright and said to Xiao Xiao, "Don't you always think that your ability is not high enough? Just take advantage of this opportunity to cultivate." According to common sense, this yin-yang formation should have a total of 9 levels. As long as you pass through these 9 levels, you will succeed. What? You want me to be locked up here? Xiao Xiao listened to Kong Ming's words and was about to go berserk. Then what about my Yen Ran? If she misses me, where can she find me? Kong Xiaoming held his stomach and laughed. Xiao Xiao, don't joke around. If you miss her, where can you find her? Ha 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 ha. You damned Kong Xiaoming, what's so funny about that? I miss her, and she misses me. Isn't it the same? Xiao Xiao, wake up. Yen Ran is a person who pretends to love the world. She is not like you, who only has love in your mind. You said that we have watched your erotic scenes several times. When did you not take the initiative? Xiao Xiao was unhappy. I let you watch the erotic scenes for free, and you still complain that the scenes are not good enough. The first time, Yen Ran took the initiative. I remember clearly. After saying that, Xiao Xiao licked his lips, as if he hadn't had enough. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming immediately covered their eyes with their hands. They couldn't watch anymore. Speaking of which, you two book spirits, don't you know what it means to be indecent? There will be plenty of opportunities for us to be intimate in the future. You'd better close your eyes. Otherwise, I'll put your bracelets on the shelf and never bring you along again. The more Xiao Xiao thought about it, the more pleased he became. He lay on a branch and threw the bracelets up and down. His body swayed with the swaying of the branches. Okay, we were wrong. Stop. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming were dizzy from Xiao Xiao's tossing. Xiao Xiao put the bracelets back on his wrist and was about to jump down from the branch. Suddenly, a cold and shrill howl came from the depths of the forest. Xiao Xiao's heart skipped a beat. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming were still shouting in the bracelets. Stop throwing, we are dizzy. Xiao Xiao suddenly came back to his senses. I didn't throw it. It seems that there is an earthquake. Xiao Xiao stood up on the branch and looked in the direction of the sound. An ominous feeling shrouded the earth. Even the bracelets began to feel cold. Under the vast starry sky, the trees seemed to be shaking uneasily. In the depths of the vast forest, the low and violent roars of the beasts startled Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming. The earth rumbled and dust rose in the distance. Xiao Xiao instinctively felt the danger. Not good. It is a tide of beasts. Kong Ming's face changed. He quickly jumped up from the bracelets and shouted, Beasts! Beasts are coming! Hide! But Kong Xiaoming shouted from the side, Quick! Quick! The opportunity is here. Quickly kill a few beasts and we can enter the next level. Xiao Xiao looked at the large group of beasts in the distance getting closer and closer. The other small animals in the forest panicked and fled in all directions. Many animals that did not manage to escape in time were torn to pieces by the violent beasts. Some were even trampled into meat paste. Not even a whole corpse was left. Thousands of soldiers and horses galloped over. The smell of blood mixed with the smell of the beasts was sent to his nose by the cold wind. Xiao Xiao shivered and looked at everything in front of him in shock. The magical beast tide really lived up to its name. Magical beasts continuously emerged from the boundless forest, like waves after waves, each wave higher than the last. Even so, Kong Xiaoming still wanted him to rush up and fight them? Was his brain damaged? Kong Xiaoming of the century, other than digging a hole, he did not know how to do anything else. In the end, he had to fill the hole himself. The beasts that rushed out of the forest were densely packed. They were mainly wild boars, bulls, and wolves. It seemed that there was no end to them. The speed of the beasts was very fast. Under the great momentum of the charge, it was not inferior to any battlefield. Xiao Xiao originally wanted to hide in the tree and wait for the magical beasts to pass by, but when he got closer, he realized that these magical beasts were like crazy demons. No matter what obstacles there were in front of them, they would use their huge bodies to directly crash into them. Under the huge impact, more than half of the trees in the forest were swept away. Where the magical beasts passed by, there were no tall trees, as if they had all become short bushes. But at this time, it was too late for Xiao Xiao to run. For a moment, the cries and roars of the beasts, Xiao Xiao's shouts, and the screams of the small animals mixed together. It was hair-raising. And Xiao Xiao only had one choice now, which was to follow the direction of the beasts and be the leader. Chapter 165. At this time, Xiao Xiao was forced to circulate all the devil energy in his body, and rushed forward at a speed faster than the wind. He finally realized where his limit was. When there were countless beasts chasing behind you, you would definitely surpass your limit. Kong Ming cheered for him in the space, while Kong Xiaoming was jumping up and down in excitement. We're almost there. Hurry up and turn around and kill them all. Where's your flying flame meteor? Hurry up and throw it out. Xiao Xiao thought, yes, where's my flying flame meteor? He quickly recited the incantation, making the golden bead in his body rotate rapidly. A golden light rushed to the sky above his head, and the power of the flying flame meteor was activated. Because Xiao Xiao was distracted, his speed slowed down a little. Some magical beasts had already overtaken him, and at the same time, they knocked into the trees next to them, and were about to fall down on Xiao Xiao's head. Kong Ming shouted nervously in the bracelet, Xiao Xiao, watch out above your head. Xiao Xiao fiercely slid to the side, barely avoiding the tree, but she could no longer avoid the wolf that was about to crash into her. The wolf ran very fast, and its green eyes were still particularly prominent in the dust. It was not like other magical beasts, who did not care about the prey next to it when running. It ran and bit at the same time, and at this time, there was a piece of bloody meat in its mouth. When it passed by Xiao Xiao, it did not have to think at all. It subconsciously spat out the meat in its mouth, opened its bloody mouth, and pounced on Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao could not avoid it, and had to roll on the ground. He took the risk of being trampled by the wolf and other magical beasts, picked up a branch next to him, circulated his devil energy, and fiercely stabbed at the wolf's stomach. The wolf's combat experience was quite rich, and at this time, its eyes showed a kind of contempt. The wolf's head shook, and the branch in Xiao Xiao's hand was thrown into the sky. At the same time, it leaped high into the air with its front hooves. Like two iron hammers, it landed heavily and quickly on Xiao Xiao's body. The wolf's eyes shone with excitement and bloodlust. The stench from its bloody mouth made Xiao Xiao want to vomit. He had no weapons in his hands at this moment. At this critical moment, he raised his left arm. If there was no other way, he would sacrifice this arm. No matter what, he could not scratch his face and legs. He had to use his face to attract Yanran, and his legs to escape. With a loud bang, Xiao Xiao closed his eyes. The expected pain did not come. Instead, he heard a sorrowful howl. Xiao Xiao opened his eyes and saw that a circle had been formed with him as the center, and the fierce wolf that was about to pounce on him had been blown into two pieces, and the culprit behind this scene was his flying meteor. The lethality of the meteor was amazing. The flying meteor ignited a raging fire around Xiao Xiao, and quickly spread out through the forest. Yay! Success! Xiao Xiao, you've advanced. You've reached the second level of the flying flame meteor. Kong Xiaoming was jumping around happily in the bracelet. Xiao Xiao suppressed his wildly beating heart. He almost died in the wolf's mouth. Looking at the circle of fire surrounding him, all the running magical beasts consciously avoided this extremely terrifying circle. He didn't expect to encounter a wave of magical beasts, and his flying meteor was actually promoted to the second level. Xiao Xiao was secretly happy, but not long after, he couldn't smile anymore. The whole forest was soon unable to survive, and the oxygen was quickly consumed by the fire. Xiao Xiao, who originally wanted to take a little rest, was soon out of breath. He had to stand up and follow behind the group of magical beasts, and escape from this big fire as fast as possible. He remembered that a few days ago when he was exploring the environment, there was a relatively large river nearby. He quickly covered his mouth and nose, and moved in the direction of the river. The animal's sensitivity to avoid danger was much higher than Xiao Xiao's. Around Xiao Xiao, countless magical beasts had gathered and were moving towards the river. He didn't know if it was because of Xiao Xiao's skill that these animals were afraid, but all the magical beasts that passed by him automatically stayed 3 feet away. Xiao Xiao looked at a bull that ran past him. It was 3 times his height, and its 4 front hooves were like a pile driver, rhythmically stepping on the ground, and a hoof print was a big pit. What the hell is this place? Did all the animals mutate? Xiao Xiao was like a weak rabbit inside, and could be swallowed by a magical beast at any time. Kong Xiaoming kept shouting in the bracelet, "Xiao Xiao, you forgot to take something. How could you forget that wolf's core?" Xiao Xiao was puzzled. What core? It's that magical beast's core. In the magical beast forest, you can only get cores. The more cores you get, the faster you can level up. Fuck. It turns out that you want me to level up and kill monsters here. I want to go out, not collect cores. You can only go out if you have enough. This is my past experience, and it can't be wrong. Kong Xiaoming echoed at this time, "Xiao Xiao, my judgment is also the same. First, you take advantage of this opportunity to cultivate here. Second, you kill as many magical beasts as you can and get the cores. You can naturally level up and pass the level. You can only go out after all the challenges have been completed." No, I don't want to be here. I don't want to fight magical beasts. I want to find my Yanran. Xiao Xiao completely rejected in his mind. He didn't want to be reduced to a fighting machine. He just wanted to return to reality as soon as possible and hug his Yanran. But after a few days, Xiao Xiao found that he couldn't find the exit to the next level. He resentfully began to fight these magical beasts according to Kong Xiaoming's method. At first, he specifically picked some small magical beasts that were only twice as tall as him. He constantly used his flying flame meteor, and could kill one at a time. When Xiao Xiao happily collected his first core, the voice of the soul sounded in the forest. "Congratulations to Flying Flame Meteor Xiao Xiao for obtaining a core. You still need 999 cores to enter the next level." Xiao Xiao staggered and almost fell to the ground. The crystal core in her hand fell to the ground with a thud. "I used to play too many games. Is God punishing me? I'm just a rookie here. I have no weapon, no attack, no defense, and even no skin. You want me to start from the beginning of mining and level up to the top boss? This is still AF * King solo fight." Xiao Xiao in the forest with his legs crossed, right hand pointed to the sky, and began to curse wildly. But Xiao Xiao pointed to the sky and cursed, except for a group of gulls and herons, there was no response. After cursing, even the surrounding magical beasts, who were originally eyeing him covetously, automatically retreated 200 feet. Xiao Xiao was tired of cursing and sat on the ground gasping for breath. At this time, he heard the weak voice of Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming, "We will accompany you." Xiao Xiao was too lazy to pay attention to the two of them. He now felt that life was hopeless. He didn't have any thoughts. He didn't want to do anything. Lying on the grass by the water, he turned on the power button of his mobile phone. The familiar boot sound sounded. The latest mobile phone only had 2 bars of battery left. If he hadn't turned it off on the first day in the space, he certainly wouldn't be able to turn it on now. He looked at the screen of the first photo of him and Yanran in the coffee shop. His heart was very sour. At that time, Yanran was very awkward, with a cold face, and he was standing behind her with a smile. But these two faces were so harmonious. He looked at it for a while and quickly turned off the phone. Then, he shouted to Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming, "Get to work." After that, Qiao Zhao's life was spent in constant battles. He used the flying meteor to harvest the cores of magical beasts. The only good thing about being here was that he didn't have to worry about other people robbing him. Every day, he would drag a big bag, kill one, take the core, and throw it into the bag. He didn't know how many sunrises and sunsets had passed. When he was hungry, he would eat raw meat. When he was thirsty, he would drink river water. His clothes have long been worn out. He followed Kong Ming's teaching and made a few sets of animal skin clothes. These could be considered as the skins he obtained in the process of killing monsters. Finally, one day he was very proficient in using the flying meteor. A meteor could accurately hit 10 giant magical beasts. Done, Qiao Xiao, your flying meteor has reached the top level. Kong Xiaoming rolled around in the space. Every day, I see you bravely killing monsters. Even I want to go up and defeat these huge monsters. Just thinking about it makes me excited. Qiao Xiao licked the blood that splashed from the corner of his mouth. It felt really good. The blood of magical beasts was also very delicious. These are the last 10 cores. After you take them, you can enter the second level. Kong Ming added. So F** King awesome. I have to properly commemorate these 1,000 magical beasts. As my training partners, you guys can be considered to have died a worthy death. Qiao Xiao took the last core and threw it into his big bag. 998999100. At this time, the scenery in front of Qiao Xiao changed. Although a large forest still existed, it was obviously taller and denser than the first level. The voice of the array soul came out from the formation, congratulating Qiao Xiao on entering the second level. Please use the second skill. Damn, what does this mean? Kong Xiaoming stammered. It means that your flying meteor cannot summon a meteorite here. Please use the second skill to pass the level. The voice then came out from the formation. The mission of this level is still to obtain 1,000 magical beast cores. Keep up the good work. This formation is really strange. It can even restrict what skills I can use. Just as Qiao Xiao was cursing in his heart, he suddenly heard a deafening roar from behind him. Qiao Zhao's conditioned reflex was to summon the flying meteor. His heart moved, but the meteorite did not move. Qiao Xiao tried a few times, but found that there was no reaction. The magical beast behind him was getting closer and closer. It was a wild boar. Its huge tusks were twice as long as in the first level. Kong Xiaoming's eyes widened as he looked at the wild boar that was at least 15 times bigger than Qiao Xiao. Qiao Xiao did not move. He was so scared that he shouted, "Run!" Qiao Xiao immediately reacted. If he couldn't use his flying flame meteor, then what else could he use? Wasn't this forcing him to his death? There's no time to think. Run! Kong Xiaoming saw that the wild boar's tusks were about to pierce Qiao Zhao's stomach. He was so scared that he continued to scream. Qiao Xiao quickly somersaulted and twisted his body to fly up a metasequoia tree. This was 2F** King deceptive. The wild boar did not show any signs of weakness. It began to violently bang against the metasequoia tree. Chapter 166. The metasequoia tree was slender and straight, reaching straight into the clouds. The higher it went, the thinner the branches became. Qiao Xiao swayed left and right as the wind blew at the top of the tree, causing Qiao Zhao's eardrums to bulge. The wild boar, which was as tall as a few people, seemed to have a one-track mind and was determined to get Qiao Xiao down from the tree. The boar used its mountain-like back to hit the tree with all its might. After hitting it twice, it looked up and saw that Qiao Xiao wasn't moving at all. It turned and ran away. Qiao Xiao finally let out a sigh of relief. Just as he was about to come down, the boar led a few other boars and charged towards the metasequoia tree. Damn, it's a group battle. As expected, the strength of the boars immediately increased by several times. The originally thick metasequoia tree could no longer withstand the wild boar's charge. After a few dozen hits, the tree trunk neatly broke from the middle. Following Qiao Zhao's scream, a human figure fell from high up, waving his limbs in the air. Right below him, the boars formed a circle, opening their mouths to welcome the food that fell from the sky. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming also screamed in fright. They even saw the boars' proud expressions and small tongues swaying in the depths of their mouths. Falling from the sky into the boars' mouths was about 20 meters. Under the influence of the Earth's gravity, Qiao Xiao fell rapidly. Just as he was about to fall into the boars' mouths, Kong Xiaoming desperately searched his memory and quickly shouted, "The second stage after the flying flame meteor is Mana Critical Strike." Do you still remember the chant and the movements? Mana Critical Strike. 15 meters, 10 meters, 5 meters, 2 meters. Kong Xiaoming was so scared that he covered his eyes. Am I going to die? Kong Ming also covered his head with his hands. Ah! Crazy screams. Bang! An earth-shattering boom shook the entire metasequoia forest 3 times. Then, it caused a chain reaction. The fallen tree trunks and the loud boom caused the surrounding trees to snap as well. The crisscrossing metasequoia trees fell from the sky and smashed into the open mouths of the wild boars. One of the shorter trees had already pierced through the mouth of one of the wild boars from left to right, penetrating its throat on the spot. Qiao Xiao followed these fallen metasequoia trees and fell down. Fortunately, there were 7 or 8 fallen metasequoia trees between him and the wild boar. Qiao Xiao bounced on the tree and released the last of the gravity. The feeling of weightlessness made him feel like he was on a roller coaster. He lost control of his heart, and it took him a while to recover from the experience of bungee jumping. Qiao Xiao, how did you do it? Just now, I really thought you were going to die. Kong Xiaoming recovered from his panic, and his eyes were still wide open. If you want to die, you can't die in the mouth of a wild boar. That would be too humiliating. This formation is always pushing you, young Master Qiao, to your limits. At the last second, I finally remembered the chant for the second move, Mana Critical Strike, in the demonic scripture. I was going to aim at the wild boars, but I didn't expect to aim at the metasequoia trees. Amitabha, I've sinned, I've sinned. Metasequoia trees, please spare me. I'm an environmental enthusiast. Qiao Xiao began to show off. Great, no matter what, you've already started. Hurry up and get the cores of these wild boars. Qiao Xiao was already familiar with this. Looking at the wild boars that couldn't move under the metasequoia trees, he made a snarling gesture at them, and picked up the sharp knife in his hand and slashed down on their heads. Poochie, blood splashed all over Qiao Xiao. Qiao Xiao looked at the wild boars with disdain. I don't know if the blood of magical beasts like you will make me ugly. If Yanran doesn't like me, I'll chop you all into minced meat. Just as Qiao Xiao was fighting bravely in the magical beast forest, Yanran's family encountered an unprecedented financial crisis. Although Uncle Wu gave her 100 million, Yanran didn't use it. She thought the situation wouldn't be so bad. She didn't expect the broken capital chain to be like dominoes, pushing her family to the brink of bankruptcy. As the saying goes, when the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. Originally, Elder Yen was that big tree. Everyone depended on Elder Yen to survive. But when this big tree fell down, the others naturally had to look for what they thought was a good tree to rest on. Who would have thought that all these macaques, who had turned to society and struggled to survive, would receive a condition to stop supplying or receiving goods from Yen Ran's family? As long as this condition was met, their orders would immediately be endless. Under the circumstances, the monkeys had no choice but to hide and keep a distance from Yanran's family. This caused all of Yanran's family's business to come to a standstill. As for the money they had to pay for the goods, the seller demanded immediate payment, and the bank's loan officers repeatedly came to collect the loan. All of the debts added up to nearly 80 million. Yanran's family was gloomy, and the atmosphere was gloomy. After Yanran's father was forced to take the spirit transformation pill, he was injured in the resistance. The burden of the family fell on Yanran's shoulders. Yanran took over the economic power from her father and went to several previous clients. They all said the same thing. Sorry, we got cheaper goods this year. When Yanran suggested that they could lower the price, the clients smiled and shook their heads. The higher-ups gave the order, so we can't change it. Yanran knew that it must be the Eastern aristocratic family. They wanted to completely destroy her family. Yanran didn't believe it. Was there really no way out? When the client sent Yanran out, he secretly said to Yanran, I heard that there's a foreign company that's preparing to buy the same products as yours on a large scale. Their chairman will be having dinner at Shangri-La tonight, so I think you should try your luck. Yanran's eyes lit up. After asking for the name and contact information of the client, she thanked him profusely and left. As soon as Yanran got home, she immediately searched for information about the company online. The chairman's surname was He, and he was the most suitable buyer for their family's products. He had also posted on the company's website that they needed to publicly purchase their products. It seemed that everything was true. If she took the risk to bid directly, she wouldn't have much hope. She'd better find a way to contact the other party and see the situation first. That night, Yanran wore a decent suit. The tailoring of the suit was very suitable, highlighting her slender figure, especially her small waist. Coupled with her cold temperament, she was like a snow lotus blooming on a mountain. She went to the Shangri-La Hall, ready to wait here and try her luck. She waited from 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock. She guessed that the dinner was about to start. Sure enough, a group of people surrounded a middle-aged man in a suit and leather shoes as he walked out of the hall. Beside the middle-aged man, there was a young man who was looking down at his phone and walking casually. Yanran recognized the middle-aged man in the crowd at a glance. It was Chairman He. She didn't even look at the others. She directly rushed up and stopped Chairman He. Hello, Chairman He. My name is Yanran. I have something very important to talk to you in private. Everyone stopped in their tracks and looked at the elegant girl in front of them. Some people even began to wink at her. Chairman He, such a beautiful girl is looking for you. Hurry up and go. A fat man with big ears on the side, who looked like he had too much to drink, began to joke. Other people also joined in. Chairman He, you have good luck with women. It's so late, but you still have a romantic encounter. Yanran heard it and felt very uncomfortable. These people seemed to be very familiar with each other. They joked so casually. She regretted her impulsive action, but she didn't have a chance. If this case didn't succeed, the court would go to their house to seal it. Yanran braced herself and said again, Chairman He, I really have something very important to talk to you about. At this time, Chairman He spoke. Which company are you from? Are you here to bid? Yanran didn't expect Chairman He to expose her purpose in front of everyone. She originally wanted to talk in private first, but it seemed that her plan was ruined. She could only nod her head stiffly. Chairman He pulled the young man next to him. If you want to bid, just look for him. He was sent by our group's board of directors. As long as you serve him well, this bid will be yours. Ha 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 ha. Yanran then noticed the young man standing next to her. He was tall and handsome, burly and strong. His face was very familiar, but at this time, there was a cold smile on his face. So it's Yanran. Long time no see. I didn't expect you to change so much. Did you take the initiative to come to me? Is the room ready? Just like what Chairman He said, if you serve me well, this bid will be yours. At this time, Yanran heard the voice that she would hate for a lifetime and her whole body couldn't help but tremble. She actually met Hua Gang here, the traitor of the southern family. This person that she couldn't vent her hatred even if she cut him to pieces. She was about to turn around and leave, but how could Hua Gang let go of this opportunity? He directly released a spiritual power and tied Yanran up. Then he directly carried her up and said to the group of people who were watching the fun, I'm going up first. Don't disturb me if there's nothing important. A group of people behind him jeered. At this time, Yanran realized that she had been tricked by the bidder. It seemed that Hua Gang had been waiting for her here, but now she couldn't resist in front of a Zishuan master. She suddenly panicked and struggled to get out of Huagang's arms, but Zishuan's spiritual power didn't give her room to move. She was about to open her mouth and shout, but Huagang said, "You can shout. It'll give me a chance to kiss you directly." After that, Huagang directly used spiritual power to seal Yanron's mouth. Huagang directly carried her and took her to the elevator to the presidential suite on the top floor. After entering the room, he threw her on the bed and removed the seal. "Yanran, I didn't expect you to be so heavy. You look very thin and weak, but there's still some meat on your body. I'll have to check it out later." At this moment, Huagang was like an evil demon, revealing his ugliest face. Yanron's heart was suddenly alarmed. "Huagang, what do you want?" Huagang walked to the wine cabinet and poured a glass of red wine. He sat in front of the bar and gently took a sip, casually looking at his lamb. "What do I want? Can't you see? You should be grateful that I'm still interested in you. I've liked you since we were young. Today, I'm just here to fulfill a wish of mine." Chapter 167. At this moment, Yanran calmed down. "Huagang, you are the one I least expected. The Nan aristocratic family has never mistreated you. Why do you want to be a traitor?" Hee, what a joke. There's a problem with the management system of the southern aristocratic family. Every man for himself, and the devil takes the hindmost. I'll always be a small soldier under you. When will I ever be able to stand out? Also, you always have that high and mighty look on your face. When I was young, I admired you so much. You're my goddess. I want to grow up and fly together with you. I don't care if I have no power in the southern aristocratic family. But how did you treat me? For that Xiao Xiao, you actually treated me like a fool. I wanted to harm him again and again, but you saved me every time. Apart from looking a little worse than him, how am I worse than him?" The more Huagang spoke, the more agitated he became. He fiercely smashed the goblet in his hand on the ground. "He is a person who was born with a devil's aura. Why do you still protect him?" Huagang spoke more and more forcefully. Even his breathing was somewhat uneven. "Let me tell you. Everything that happened to Xiao Xiao was done by me. Even Director Feng was killed by me. Director Feng's grandson was also killed by me. The chief culprit of all this is you. Yanran, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have become like this." Huagang's eyes became red, like a man-eating beast. At the end of his speech, he was already roaring crazily. Yanran was so shocked that her jaw dropped. She never thought that Huagang would do so many things behind her back. There were even many things that almost killed Xiao Xiao. "Huagang, your sins are caused by your inner demons. If you weren't greedy, who could have turned you into a devil? Of all the things you shouldn't have done, you shouldn't have helped the tyrant." In the cultivation world, the aristocratic families of the South have beliefs and missions. However, the aristocratic families of the East, for their own power and desires, have gone against the inheritance of their ancestors and forgotten their original intentions. "They will be punished one day," Yanran said righteously. This was also her belief. "What are you talking about? Only a silly girl like you would believe in these sacred teachings. What I want to ask is, if you were to be tortured into dregs by me, a person who has already turned into a demon, would you still hold on to your original heart? When you're under me, what do you have to maintain your noble image?" Huagang's sharp laughter rang out. "I won't let you off tonight. Look, I've already prepared the camera for you. Look at that innocent look of yours. Once you're stripped of your skin, will you also become so crazy? Did you see that? The first thing in that row is the aphrodisiac. I'll inject it into you later. I guarantee that even the most innocent girl will become a lustful woman." Yanron's body trembled. "Huagang, you dare?" "Why wouldn't I dare? I only know now that I have to enjoy myself. In the past, I was a fool. I even risked my life for that pure love. Yi Xuanfei is the same as you. It's not easy to chase after her. After all, a high and mighty princess has to put on airs. I can't handle her, But do you think I can't handle you? Yi Xuanfei did the right thing, which was to give you the spiritual transformation pill. Look, I can strip you naked with just a wave of my spiritual energy. Huagang moved his fingers and the clothes on Yanron's shoulders were torn apart. Her smooth and fair shoulders and sexy collarbones were exposed to the air. Yanron's exposed skin immediately shivered because of the cold air. Huagang walked up to her and put his big, rough hand on her soft shoulder, which immediately turned pink. Huagang smiled coldly and said, "You seem to be very sensitive. I'm going to take a shower first. Think about what kind of expression you should have when you greet me." Yanran was so angry that her entire body was trembling. When Huagang's hands touched her shoulders, her entire body was imprisoned. She couldn't resist at all. The needle-like touch made her body shiver and spread to her heart. She didn't expect Huagang to be such an evil person. She didn't dare to imagine what was about to happen to her. This was the biggest disaster a woman could endure. Previously, Qiao Xiao told her that there was something wrong with Huagang. Yanron's tears flowed down from the corners of her eyes. She didn't want to believe it. She had wronged Qiao Xiao many times. She covered her face with both hands. "Sorry, Qiao Xiao." At this moment, Yanran missed him very much. It could be a kind of guilt, or it could be loyalty to love. She was extremely regretful that she fell into this trap so easily. Listening to the sound of running water from the bathroom, she didn't have much time left. Qiao Xiao had just fought with a big spider. He finally found a way to use his mana critical strike. It was a world where one's fists spoke. Once the mana critical strike was activated, it would turn his hand into an iron fist, either left or right. If he was strong enough, he could sweep a piece of land. But when he encountered this big spider, he was a little crazy. As the saying goes, 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. When his 2 fists broke the spider's 2 legs, the spider's other leg was already poking at his eyes. He turned his head, and the tentacle brushed past the tip of his nose. The other tough tentacle had already cut open the animal skin pants he had just made. F***ck. This spider must be a female spider. How dare it peek at my butt? Qiao Xiao turned his head and punched the spider's eyes. "Look. I'll blind your eyes first so that you can only see my fists forever." Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming watched with great interest in the bracelet. "Qiao Xiao, you said that after fighting here for so many days, your muscles have grown. You're stronger than before." After dealing with the female spider, Qiao Xiao raised his knife and took its crystal core. He threw it into the bag behind him and sat on a rock next to him. Suddenly, he felt a chill. F***ck, I forgot that the animal skin pants were torn. Okay, you two stop making sarcastic remarks. I'm almost a tailor. I'm always making clothes. But I've become stronger. Does my body look better? Do you think Yanran will be greedy for my body? You're a guy with a head full of lust. Even if she wants to, she can't see you. There are so many handsome guys out there. If she wants to, she can just search for you on the internet. She can lick you however she wants. Kong Xiaoming said disapprovingly. I say, Kong Xiaoming, are you looking for a beating? Is this how you use the word lick? You didn't study when you were young and I had to teach you when you grew up. What you searched on the internet is better than my body. But do you think Yanran will forget about me after not seeing me for so long? Don't worry. She's very busy. She probably doesn't think about you very often. She doesn't have time to think about other people. Don't worry. Qiao Xiao thought about it and agreed. Yanran never took the initiative to call him or send him messages. She was always very busy. This time, he must not let her be so busy. One day, he must lock her at home. It would be best if she couldn't get out of bed. Qiao Xiao smiled wretchedly. Stop smiling. There's another spider. Qiao Xiao looked back. Indeed, it was a little bigger than the previous spider. It had a small head and 8 legs. It couldn't be more ugly. When the spider saw the corpse of the female spider next to it, it suddenly went crazy and spat venom at Qiao Xiao. Chow Xiao was so scared that she hurriedly took a step back. She flew a few feet away, and the animal's skin skirt accidentally stuck to a spot. It was this spot that quickly corroded the surrounding area. Chow Xiao was shocked and quickly threw away the animal's skin skirt on his body. Then he just naked and started to fight with the spider. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming appreciated the scene of the beautiful man fighting the spider in the bracelet. Not bad. The lines of the muscles were even, the proportion of the body was perfect. His hair was more. Cough cough. The development was quite mature. Kong Ming's conclusion was, it's time to get married. Kong Xiaoming's conclusion was, no wonder he thinks about Yen Ran all day. She listened to the two people leisurely commenting in the space. Chow Xiao shouted angrily, your young master is working himself to death outside. You two are still making sarcastic remarks. If you talk nonsense again, I'll put the bracelet on the spider and let you two spend the rest of your life with it. Chow Xiao, be careful. Its venom is going to splash on your hair. Chow Xiao was scared and quickly stepped back. This was his treasure. It was where Yenron's future happiness lay. He absolutely couldn't let this poisonous spider destroy it. Chow Xiao raised his iron fist. His fist suddenly became long, crossing the spider's antennae and reaching its small head. With a click, the spider's head directly separated from its body. It rolled to the side like a black stone, right into the arms of the female spider. Chow Xiao flew over and dug out its crystal core with a knife. You two are loyal. After death, your heads are still hugging each other. Alas, you two are luckier than me. When will I be able to hug Yen Ran? Chow Xiao simply moved the bodies of the two spiders together. Then he tied their antennae with the vines next to them. His mouth muttered, lovers finally get married. When you two are reincarnated as spiders, you must be together. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming rolled their eyes in the bracelet. You forgot who took their crystal cores. You don't understand. If I only took one, it would be like breaking up a pair of mandarin ducks. If I took both, it would be like letting them become a pair. How can you two bookworms understand the love of the mortal world? Kong Xiaoming immediately refuted, we are book spirits, not bookworms. All right. Who cares if you are book spirits or bookworms? With your intelligence, you won't be able to understand. Hurry up and help me calculate how many crystal cores I need. I want to go to the next level. Kong Xiaoming yawned in the space. It's still early. You should make another set of clothes first. Young Master Chow had no choice but to hunt another magical beast and find a beast skin to make clothes. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming kept on advising him, why don't you not wear it? With such a good figure, it would be a waste to cover it. However, Chow Xiao argued, my body is reserved for Yen Ran. You two are taking advantage of me. If you look too much, you will grow a needle eye. So, young Master Chow continued to fight monsters and level up endlessly. He also continued to bicker with the two book spirits. His days were monotonous, dangerous, and tedious. He was completely unaware of the changes that had taken place in the outside world. He was also unaware of the grievances that his beloved Yen Ran was suffering. The only thing he could do was to occasionally turn on his phone and look at the awkward photo of Yen Ran. But every time he would say to the Yen Ran in the photo, I will be out soon. You must hold on. If there are bad guys, you must fight back. If you can't beat them, you must run. When I go back, I will help you find them. I am very powerful now. Flying Fire Meteor and Magic Critical Strike are my strong points. I don't know how I am compared to you, but for scum like Huagang, I can definitely beat him until he is looking for his teeth on the ground. Every time, he didn't dare to talk for too long. After a few words, he hurriedly turned off his phone. He was afraid that the phone's battery wouldn't last until he went out. This was the only thing that kept him going. Chapter 168. In front of the Shangri-La Hotel, it was still brightly lit at 10 at night, and cars were still coming in and out. Behind this noise, there was an endless darkness hidden in a hidden corner. A few bare branches stretched out in the air, like a large black net, shrouding the night, shrouding the dim moonlight, as if to separate the daytime hotel from the darkness. Following the direction of these branches, through the luxurious door and the splendid lobby, there was a special elevator that went directly to the high-end and luxurious presidential suite on the top floor. At this time, in the suite, only 2 dim bedside lamps were lit. The girl on the bed was lying helplessly, her torn clothes hanging in front of her chest. Her eyes were closed, and the tears on her face had dried. Ever since Huagang walked into the bathroom that would let out the sound of death, Yanran had been in this position. Her whole body was imprisoned, and without her spiritual power, she was like a fish on a chopping board, powerless to resist, and could only wait for the destruction of fate. The door creaked open, and Huagang came out with only a bath towel wrapped around him. His hair was dripping wet, and his muscular upper body was still dripping with water. The water droplets flowed along his blocky chest muscles into the towel at his waist. At this time, he was holding a towel in his hand to dry his hair. Yanran heard the sound, and opened her eyes. Seeing Huagang's appearance, she closed her eyes for a second. Huagang seemed to be in a good mood, and laughed in a low voice. "How is it? Have you thought it through? You won't lose out if you follow me, right? My body is not much worse than Xiao Zhao's." "The difference is 108,000 li," Yanran said in her heart. She remembered that night when Xiao Zhao walked out of the bathroom, he posed for her in front of the barrier. That was a peerless beauty in the world, every muscle was just right, and every shadow was a temptation. Yanran really regretted, why didn't she follow her heart that night? "What's wrong? Are you still in a daze?" Huagang lifted Yanran's chin. Yanran opened her eyes and stared at him coldly. "Isn't it just sex? Untie me and I'll do it myself." Huagang looked at her suspiciously. "Have you really thought it through? Are you willing? What can I do if I don't want to? Isn't it just a membrane? Am I really going to be raped by you?" Yanran's cold words pierced Huagang's heart. Huagang was overjoyed. "Yanran, I knew you would do great things. This is what I admire most about you. You can tolerate what others can't. Don't worry, I will be gentle." After he finished speaking, he untied Yanran's shackles and stood up. He tore off the towel on his body and threw himself at Yanran, who was lying on the bed. At this moment, Yanran's agility, which she had trained since she was young, was displayed to the extreme. She rolled on the bed and dodged Huagang's attack. She quickly hid under the bed. In half a second, she pulled out the totem on her chest and quickly chanted an incantation. The entire presidential suite was immediately covered with a barrier. Huagang was suddenly in a desert. The dim light above his head turned into sunlight that could burn people's skin. The big bed under him turned into hot sand that could cook eggs. Huagang was naked. He rolled on the sand and was immediately scalded by the sand. He didn't even wear shoes. His bare feet felt as if he was stepping in boiling water. After a few steps, blood blisters appeared on his feet. Huagang reacted abruptly. He had entered an array formation. He didn't expect it. He didn't expect Yanran to have this trick up her sleeve. He cursed Yanran's deceit in his heart. But after a while, he didn't even have the strength to curse. Not only was he exposed to the sun in the desert, but there was also a pack of wolves baring their fangs and brandishing their claws in front of him. They were staring at him with bloodthirsty eyes. In that instant, under the leadership of the Wolf King, dozens of wolves viciously pounced on him. At this moment, Yanran's attack was successful. Her cold face was covered with cold sweat. Her eyes were clear and bright, shooting out 2 cold rays of light. Her right hand tightly grasped the totem on her chest. Her hand was trembling slightly. She didn't even realize that the sharp horns of the totem had pierced into her palm. "Xiao Xiao, thank goodness I have you." After a while, Yanran's wildly beating heart calmed down a little. She glanced at Huagang, who seemed to have gone crazy in the room. His gaze alone was enough to make her feel disgusted. She walked around the array and walked to the door. She opened the heavy door and left the presidential suite that had almost made her fall into hell. After returning home, Yenran thought a lot. The decline of the southern aristocratic families was a foregone conclusion. Grandfather was depressed because of this incident. He had a mild stroke and could only recuperate. The family's business was already in a deadlock. The eastern aristocratic families were doing everything they could to suppress them. She was lucky to be able to escape from Hua Gang's hands today. If there was a next time, not only herself, but also the whole family would suffer a blow that would destroy them. At present, she couldn't compete with them. She could only be humble and let the eastern aristocratic families rest assured. When they were no longer a threat, they would have a way to survive. She still had a big family to raise. In the past, she only thought about being noble and virtuous. She had to rely on herself for everything. She was afraid of accepting other people's favors. But what was the point? She took out the bank card hidden in the innermost part of her wallet. Chow Xiao, I will definitely owe you in this life. Early the next morning, Yenran said goodbye to her mother and went out. Her mother knew that she was very busy recently, so she called from afar, Yenran, have breakfast before you leave. But the only response she got was a casual wave of her hand from afar. This daughter was really too precocious. With such a big thing happening at home, dark clouds had been hanging over everyone's head, including this mother who was not in the cultivation world. She didn't know much about the cultivation world. She only knew that her daughter had taken on too much responsibility since she was young. She had also complained that every girl in the family didn't grow up like a princess. Only their family's Yenran had to live an indomitable life like a man since she was young. Now that something had happened at home, it seemed that all the burden had fallen on her. She was only a senior in high school. Couldn't she be allowed to live a normal life? Mother Yen wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes. She couldn't help at all. There was still Yen Gua to take care of at home. She heard that the southern aristocratic families had an accident, and many of their collateral relatives were also unlucky. This big family had a debt of tens of millions. What could they do? She heard that in 2 days, they couldn't even live in this house. The court would take this house to pay off the debt. Mother Yen looked at the house that she had lived in for decades and sighed in her heart. She hoped that the loss of money would solve the disaster. Chow Xiao fought hard to pass the second level. There were 1,000 crystal nuclei, and most of them were spiders. Kong Ming, do you think spiders have a particularly strong reproductive ability? Why are there only spiders in this level? Chow Xiao cut open the head of the last spider, took the crystal nuclei, and threw them into the bag. Of course, Kong Ming explained, shaking his head. Spiders have been around since ancient times. They have a strong reproductive ability. Spiders are oviparous animals. Each female spider can lay an average of 100 eggs. The bigger spiders can lay more eggs, and the smaller ones can lay less. For example, the biggest spider can lay 3,000 eggs. Okay, I thought you were a Baidu encyclopedia. You explained in such detail. How can this be recorded in ancient books? Of course it's in ancient books. He can also tell you how spiders have sex and how they lay eggs in the end. Their sex is very interesting. You won't be able to understand it even if I tell you. Before sex, the male spiders weave a spermatodium. A drop of sperm-containing liquid is produced from the reproductive pore on the spermatodium, and then the spermatodium is sucked into the tentacles. Most male spiders insert their left pedipalp into the left opening of the female's genital plate, and insert their right pedipalp into the right opening. After the spermatodium enters the genital plate, it moves into the receptacle connected to the fallopian tube. The egg passes through the fallopian tube to the reproductive pore and is fertilized. Chow Xiao was stunned. The book is so detailed. Wasn't it listed as a banned book? Do you think it's driving? This is normal animal reproduction. Why should it be banned? Kong Xiaoming was laughing so hard that his stomach hurt. Chow Xiao became interested. How many children do you think Yenran and I should have in the future? Kong Xiaoming rolled his eyes. You have a long way to go after your wife. Why do you want to have children now? Can't I just think about it? It's so boring here. I'm fighting all day. I've almost become a fighting machine. Look at how thick my arms are. Ever since I started practicing Mana Critical Strike, my arms have become so thick that they can't even be looked at. Yenran is starting to dislike me. Hurry up and help me think of a way. Qiao Xiao waved his slightly thick arms and did stretching exercises. TSK, can you be more narcissistic? Isn't it better for a man to have a thicker arm? Kong Xiaoming didn't finish his words. Qiao Xiao screamed. He was like a rocket tied to a launch tower, flying straight into the sky. Under his feet, explosions sounded one after another. Many mushroom clouds rose like a flight of stairs, pushing Qiao Xiao directly into the sky. He passed through layer after layer of clouds and rushed straight into the blue sky above. Qiao Xiao was dumbfounded by this unexpected turn of events. Should he take advantage of the situation, or should he directly use his magic power to descend to the ground? However, falling from the sky was a very typical case of a plane crash. Just as Qiao Xiao was hesitating, a stone suddenly appeared beside him. It was square and about the size of a double bed. He didn't even think about it and directly grabbed it with his hands and jumped on it. The stone was quite big, just enough for him to roll on. Qiao Xiao patted his little heart and felt the stone drifting in the air. At an altitude of 30,000 feet, the cold air penetrated into the bone marrow like ice. Qiao Xiao shivered and used magic to protect his body. In this way, the stone floated, floated, floated. Qiao Xiao thought that he would always be able to stop at a reliable place, but he didn't expect that the stone floated in the air as if it had no strength. Then he heard the voice of the array spirit. Welcome Flying Flame Meteor Qiao Xiao to the 3rd level. Your task is to collect 1,000 crystal cores. Chapter 169. Qiao Xiao really wanted to curse. He was in the middle of nowhere. Was he going to stay in the air forever? He looked up. The sun was extremely dazzling and the sky was blue. It was as if the world's most beautiful picture scroll was slowly unfolding, filling Qiao Xiao's line of sight. Below, there was an endless sea of clouds. It was so white and pure, just like Yenron's white face. Qiao Xiao was extremely uncomfortable. Originally, there were many small animals running around in the magic beast forest. The surrounding plants were blown by the wind like comrades accompanying him. But here, other than the clouds, the cold wind and the dazzling sun, there was only the stone under him. A sense of loneliness came from all directions. Qiao Xiao murmured, Kong Xiaoming, I finally realized the value of the two of you. Without the existence of the two of you, I would really be alone. Not to the extent of being alone. You'd better think about how to deal with the magic beast flying over your head. The first half of Kong Xiaoming's voice was relatively steady, but the second half suddenly rose. It was like a thin and long steel wire suddenly inserted into the air, making a hoarse sound of metal rubbing against each other. Qiao Xiao suddenly looked up and saw a fierce eagle flying from a distance. Its body was so huge that it blocked the entire sun. The eagle's cry shook the sky and blocked the clouds. At this time, it swooped down from the sky at an extremely fast speed. The fierce eagle snatched its prey and struck with thunder. Qiao Xiao was so shocked that he didn't even finish his sentence. He had already subconsciously used his mana to strike. But he didn't expect that the fierce eagle was so agile in the air. Qiao Xiao's move had some effect on the fierce beasts on land, but in the air, it was completely empty. In the end, he was forced to jump up and down on the stone by the fierce eagle. He couldn't wait to directly jump off the stone. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming were also extremely anxious when they saw this. Kong Xiaoming shouted, Try flying the fire meteor. Qiao Xiao somersaulted again and dodged the eagle's beak. He chanted a chant and many meteorites flew in the sky. However, these meteorites were not intercontinental missiles. They could be accurately hit on land, but in the air, the eagle's speed was faster than them. With a wing, it could send the meteorites flying to Qiao Xiao's body. Qiao Xiao was almost hit by the meteor while he was in a sorry state. Sparks flew when the meteor hit the stone bed, almost burning Qiao Xiao's hair. Qiao Xiao was so angry that he ground his teeth. Can't you think of something useful? Kong Xiaoming was also shocked by what he saw in the bracelet. You have to be faster than this bird of prey. Isn't that obvious? Of course I know that I have to be faster than it. Am I the wind? Only the wind can be faster than it. Qiao Xiao was about to start shouting. The fierce eagle looked at its prey jumping up and down. Its eyes were full of contempt, as if it was playing with its prey. It circled in the air, swooped down, and flipped up. Its huge wings were like two iron plates. It looked like it was going to crush the exhausted Xiao Xiao into a meat patty. Qiao Xiao's brain was spinning quickly. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming couldn't be counted on. He could only rely on himself. He had to think of a way to be faster than the eagle. What was the third skill in the Devil's Sutra called? There seemed to be a wind. The little tadpoles quickly searched through their memory banks. They had forgotten it after not using it for a long time, but when they finally found this very classic chant, the fierce eagle had already finished playing with him. The eagle's bloodthirsty eyes shone brightly, and the eagle's cry resounded through the sky. That was the bugle call for an all-out attack. The fierce eagle suddenly rose, and then with an incredible speed, aimed at Qiao Xiao's eyes and pecked down. Qiao Xiao really didn't have the strength to dodge anymore. He really couldn't dodge. He burst out all the magic in his body and recited the chant of the third skill in the Devil's Sutra. Suddenly, the world changed. From the center of the sun, there was a flame rushing over. It was like a fireball, but also like a rocket. The whole sky was reflected by it, and it was shot at the fierce eagle in the sky. The strange phenomenon in the sky instantly stopped the speed of the fierce eagle's descent. Its body paused in the air, and it turned to look in the direction of the rocket. The eagle's eyes showed extreme fear. Just as its pupils dilated and contracted, the rocket had already pierced through its heart. This ferocious bird of prey fell next to Qiao Xiao. Qiao Xiao dared to open his eyes at this time. Looking at the fierce eagle staring at him, he reacted extremely quickly. He cut open its head, took out the crystal core, and kicked it down the clouds. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming in the bracelet both gave a thumbs up. Qiao Xiao, awesome. Qiao Xiao finally knew how long this yin-yang formation was going to torture him. He would be able to go out after he practiced all the levels of the Devil's Sutra. One level, one skill. This level was just right for him to practice the skill of wind and fire seriously. I strongly suspect that this formation was set up by some ancestor of the Devil's world. I didn't expect that he didn't take care of his descendants at all. Instead, he made me, the prince of the Devil's world, live a life worse than death. Qiao Xiao said weakly. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming finally understood. You originally came to the human world to gain experience. Maybe because this formation was sent to the human world, you were sent here. Everything has its own arrangement. You can rest assured and cultivate. God, I don't want to cultivate. I only want my Yanran. Qiao Xiao roared to the sky. The following days really made Qiao Xiao miserable. From time to time, birds of various species would fly down from the sky. After Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming's popular science, Qiao Xiao could already distinguish the names of various birds of prey, such as eagles, hawks, kites, vultures, harriers, falcons, owls, and so on. Qiao Xiao named them all fighters. These birds of prey all had downward curving hook-shaped beaks, which were very sharp. When Qiao Xiao was dealing with them, he used wind and fire as his unique skill. At the same time, he would combine his magical power to directly penetrate their brow bone. These birds of prey had very strong feet and very sharp claws. When Qiao Xiao was dealing with them, he directly threw the dead birds of prey at them as bait to disturb their good eyesight. It was convenient for him to use wind and fire to directly penetrate their bodies. In this way, after repeated experiments and running in, Qiao Xiao's several skills were used more and more skillfully. At the beginning, it took him at least 2 hours to fight a bird of prey. Now, it took him 2 minutes to fight a bird of prey. The crystal nucleus was almost full on the stone bed. Qiao Xiao used the feathers of the hawks to make a few bags and tied them together with ropes made of feathers. The miserable 2-meter bed of Chow Chow was finally squeezed into a single bed in the dormitory. The sense of loss and loneliness of being at the top eroded Chow Chow's heart every day. Gradually, he hoped that there would be birds of prey to fight with him. Only when he fought, he had something to do. This kind of life of relying on the heavens was really too painful. He didn't dare to turn on his phone now, because the last time he turned it on, he found that there was only 20% battery left. He could only keep recalling in his mind, recalling Yenran's every frown and smile. He regretted that he didn't spend more time with Yenran and wasted so much good time. The bone-chilling longing eroded Chow Chow's every minute and second. Time slipped by mercilessly as he waited, cruelly trying to remove the memory of Yenran in his mind. Chow Chow often asked Kong Xiaoming to help him draw Yenran in the bracelet. His every description was very detailed, but Kong Xiaoming just couldn't draw Yenran's charm. Because of this, Chow Chow often flew into a rage. "Didn't you see the photos on the phone? Why can't you draw it? I've told you before, her eyes are clear and bright, but sometimes they're misty, like 2,000-year-old ancient springs, so deep that you can't see the bottom. I'm almost drunk to death in this pair of pitch-black eyes." She also has a row of long and beautiful eyelashes, like a comb, often fluttering like a butterfly, fluttering again and again. Her nose is as small and delicate as her jade-white face. It's a breathtaking perfection. And her pink lips, which usually don't like to wear lipstick, are still red and tender, more delicious than the cherries of the season. "I've said it so clearly, why can't you draw it?" After the mania, there was a more heart-wrenching longing that couldn't be dispelled. He could only turn his grief into strength and use it all on the birds of prey that would come at any time. While Chow Chow was missing Yenran, Yenran was also living a difficult life under his protection. Finally, the day the court came to close the house came. The whole family packed up and prepared to move out of the house that they had lived in for decades. Yenran had gone out to find a way and hadn't come back for more than 10 days. The 2 judges of the court came to the door at 10 o'clock in the morning. Their faces were longer than the Chongbai Mountains, and they were full of disdain and coldness. "I told you to move out long ago. Why haven't you moved out yet?" Yen Guo was small, and he couldn't help but retort, "Why do you take our house? We have lived here for decades." "Why? You have committed a crime. Only people who have committed crimes will be taken away by the court. You are just a child who doesn't know how to talk." Yen Guo was so angry that his eyes were red. "Nonsense, our family can't commit a crime." His mother pulled Yen Guo and held him in her arms. "Don't say anything. Just remember that our family can't commit a crime." Just at the moment when the seal was about to be put on the door, Yenran finally came back. She took out the latest court ruling and showed it to the 2 judges. The 2 judges who came to put the seal were in a bad mood. They said to Yenran, "If you have the money, you should pay it back earlier. Why did you have to delay until the last moment? We have been here so many times for your family. You are wasting the country's resources." Yenran lowered her head and didn't say anything. Yen Guo wanted to rush forward and argue with them, but Yenran grabbed him and covered his mouth. After the judges left, she settled the whole family down and went back to her room. She threw herself into bed. The experience during this period made her have a new understanding of human nature. Chapter 170. Previously, she only knew that it was difficult to borrow money, but she didn't expect that it would be difficult to return the money. Originally, the creditors who came to collect debts were like gangsters, threatening and intimidating. However, when it came to the time when Yenran wanted to pay back the money, they changed their faces and became even more vicious. The most common method was to not pick up the phone, not find the person, avoid meeting, or refuse to meet with the person, due to various complicated procedures. After being rejected by many families, Yenran finally understood that these people from the Eastern aristocratic family wanted them to be completely dead. Whether they returned the money or not, they would also die. Their ultimate goal was to make them feel uncomfortable. Yenran held the bank card of 100 million yuan. In the beginning, she couldn't return the money no matter what. They just wanted to drag her to death. Now, the debt was 80 million yuan. If they delayed it for another year, it would be at least 8 million yuan. When they could definitely get back the principal and interest, who wouldn't want to make more money? The biggest creditor of their family was a bank. Yanran looked at the well-decorated entrance of the bank, took a deep breath, and stepped in. Before she came, she had asked the loan officer to make an appointment with the president of the bank. However, it was already 2 hours later when she actually saw the president. The president's office was spacious and grand. A row of long tables occupied about 5 square meters. The president was a middle-aged man. He was short and round like a potato. He looked smiling, but his eyes kept drifting up and down, which made Yanran a little uncomfortable. Yanran began her long speech, talking about her family's difficulties and the application for early repayment. Yanran's mouth was dry, but the president just smiled and didn't say anything. When Yanran was really tired, the president lit a cigarette, walked to Yanran's side, lowered his head, and blew a smoke ring directly into her face. Seeing that Yanran couldn't help choking and fanning the smoke with her hand, he smiled slowly and said, "To tell you the truth, your matter is very difficult. The higher-ups have called, but it's not impossible." At this point, he stopped and sat down beside Yanran. His left hand, which was not holding the cigarette, openly touched Yanran's thigh. Yanran's eyelashes fluttered and her brows furrowed. She stood up and took a step back. "Manager, let's talk this out." The president was neither anxious nor angry. He smiled at Yanran and said, "This is the only way. Think about it." Yanran finally understood that the president of this bank was a standard beast in human clothing. At this time, he no longer concealed it. His eyes emitted a lustful light, and he looked up and down at Yanran. "Originally, you had no chance at all, but looking at your capital, you can pay back the money in one night." Yanran trembled with anger. "Aren't you afraid that I'll sue you?" "That's up to you. I'm just offering you a way. If you don't want to, I won't force you." After saying that, the president smiled cruelly. When Yanran rushed out of the door, the president's faint voice came from behind. "If you think it through, come to the XX nightclub and find me in the president's room. The deadline is 10 o'clock in the evening." It seemed that this bank was not so easy to take down. Yanran walked out of the bank and looked at the gloomy sky. Her heart was cold. Yanran's eyes were burning with fighting spirit. Since childhood, she had been an invincible person. Even if she lost her spiritual power, so what? Yanran was still the original Yanran. Demons and monsters, come out. At 10 o'clock in the evening, Yanran tidied herself up and went to the private room that the president said on time. He was alone in the room. It seemed that he was waiting for her. As the president laughed complacently, Yanran directly walked up to him and began to punch his potato face. Although Yanran had lost her spiritual power, her fighting skills were especially good because of the training she had received since she was a child. Against a potato that had not been trained for a long time, she could crush him into a mashed potato in minutes. The bank manager didn't expect Yanran to do this. With one punch, he bent over and couldn't speak. The bank manager felt as if his internal organs were about to be punched out of his body. The pain made him curl up on the ground. His throat felt as if it was being choked. After a while, he slowly squeezed out a sentence from his throat. "You dare to hit me? Don't even think about paying me back." Yanran sneered, "You'd better think about it carefully. Do you want to lie in the hospital for half a month or half a year? I'm going to sue you. This is a lawful society." The president was already covered in cold sweat. "Go ahead and sue me. We'll talk about it when you're out of the hospital." Yanran did not show any mercy. She beat up the president. She did not hit his face, but every punch was on his flesh. When had the president, who lived like a prince, been tortured like this before? In the end, he knelt on the ground and could not stand up anymore. He finally knew that he had provoked a murderous god. "I'll pay you back tomorrow. I'll pay you back tomorrow. Please stop hitting me. I'm going to die." In the end, Yanran directly stabbed the president's head with a dagger. The president's face was covered in cold sweat. His face was distorted in fear. Yenron's bloodthirsty murderous aura was like a sharp knife stabbing into his heart. Then, a fishy smell came from the sofa. Yenran stepped back and took out her phone. If you don't want to be beaten, you only have one chance. Say it. I'll record it for you. The president knew that his only way out today was to be obedient. He recorded the video obediently. The next day, the loan officer informed Yenran that he could pay the money back. After dealing with the bank, Yenran heaved a sigh of relief. Next was the court. The court process was very long, but in general, it was all formal procedures. Yenran paid the money and only needed to wait. Finally, in the morning when her house was sealed, she received a notice from the bank that the execution was cancelled. Uncle Wu finally returned from Huanghai City. He searched everywhere but found nothing. However, he knew that Qiao Xiao would not die because his fate was connected to Qiao Xiao's. If Qiao Xiao died, he would die with him. However, the anxiety of not being able to find the young master made his hair turn white. After searching everywhere without any results, he returned to Nanchuan. After the young master appeared, he would definitely return home. His most important task now was to protect the future crown princess on behalf of the young master. During this period of time, he received several text messages about money transfers. All of them were large amounts of money transferred to a certain bank or a certain court. In just a short period of time, nearly 80 million was gone. It seemed that something really happened. Uncle Wu transferred another 100 million to his card and called Yenran, telling her to tell him if she had any difficulties. Miss Yenran, I found a security company to assign 4 bodyguards to you. You must be careful when you go out. Safety first. Don't go out after 9 p.m. Yenran knew that the 4 people were not cultivators and could not deal with the difficulties of the cultivation world. She had to protect herself now, especially against scumbags like Huagang. Huagang stayed in the array formation for nearly 3 days. He almost lost his life when he came out. Huagang was glad that Yenran did not have any spiritual power. Without spiritual power, the array formation would automatically disappear after a period of time. His skin was covered in countless wounds from the abrasion of the sand. He was bleeding non-stop. At this moment, he was lying on the bed in a sorry state. There was no end to the wolves in the desert. He killed wave after wave. The attrition battle exhausted most of his energy. Now, Huagang did not have the energy to do anything else. There were several messages from Yi Xuanfei on his phone. They were all urging him to hurry back to Huanghai. He gritted his teeth and sat up from the bed. He took out the first aid kit and started applying medicine on his body. The wounds on his back were left behind by the alpha wolf. He really could not treat them. He made a call and asked his subordinates to send a doctor over. When the doctor saw the hideous wounds all over his body, he was shocked. Just as he was about to say something, he met Huagang's dark and fierce eyes. He was so scared that he quickly shut up. After bandaging his wounds, Huagang took the first flight back to Huanghai City. Looking at the gradually shrinking map of Nanchuan, Huagang's eyes were bottomless. Time passed step by step. It did not stop because of anything. Everyone's life still had to go on. Yenran dealt with most of the things and the house finally became a little more peaceful. Elder Yan's condition worsened because of what happened later. Yenran sent him directly to the sanatorium and asked him to recuperate in peace. She hoped that he could recover as soon as possible. Now she was really glad that she had Qiao Xiao. She could still afford the high medical expenses. She asked Uncle Wu when Qiao Xiao would come back. Uncle Wu told her that he would definitely come back, but she had to wait patiently. Yenran was more and more worried about Qiao Xiao day by day. Now she had more time and was not as busy as before. Although she was no longer in school, the number of times she browsed Tieba every day was dozens of times more than when she was in school. Although Qiao Xiao had also left school, he was still hanging on the front page as the most handsome schoolboy in the school. Zhang Deong, as his support fan group, also posted his old photos in turn from time to time and made a small video collection. They flattered him a lot to make his presence known. Yenran looked at Xiao Xiao, who was acting cool on Tieba, and felt a burst of bitterness in her heart. In the past, when he was by her side, he did all kinds of funny things, acted cute and clingy, which often delayed her work. However, it was this kind of person who was as hot as a small sun, always full of passion, who forced his way into her life and always tried to occupy a small space in her heart. And she was always so busy that she forgot about herself. She never took the initiative to send WeChat messages and never called if she had nothing to do. Yenran couldn't help laughing at herself. How could she be a person in love? She ignored Xiao Zhao's 100% sincerity to her, while she only returned 50%. What did she do to deserve such treatment? Looking at Xiao Zhao's photo, which was recognized as the most handsome in the whole school, the sunglasses moved down slightly. His eyes were full of a confident smile, and his lips were slightly pouted as if he was acting coquettishly. Yenran, I want you to be with me. Chapter 171. Xiao Xiao was busy working on the floating stone bed full of crystal nuclei. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming had been staring at Xiao Zhao's but for an entire day. Xiao Xiao must be possessed. Did he become stupid from fighting these raptors? Kong Xiaoming and Xiao Xiao maintained the same posture for a long time, but they still couldn't understand what he was doing. I can see that he is building a shelf. Is he going to grow grapes? There are no grape seeds here? Kong Ming was also quite puzzled. Xiao Xiao tore off the wing from the raptor, and then tried to use the raptor's skeleton to prop up a shed. Fortunately, the raptor was relatively large. Using the triangle's most stable theorem and the balance between the skeletons, Xiao Xiao put the feathers on it. It really made a beautiful feather shelf for Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao lay down after he was done. The feather shelf didn't seem to have any other use, but it did block most of the sunlight. Xiao Xiao held a feather in his mouth and crossed his legs. He lay down comfortably and hummed a song. Kong Xiaoming looked at the feather shelf and then looked at Xiao Xiao. Finally, he couldn't help but ask, Xiao Xiao, what is this new invention of yours? Are you waiting for the raptor to walk into a trap? Kong Ming also tried to persuade him, this shelf is so weak that it will fall down when the raptor bumps into it. There is also the possibility that the crystal nuclei on the stone bed will be swept down. Wouldn't you be working for nothing? Xiao Xiao said leisurely, with my current ability, I can kill it if it is 3 feet away from me. It will definitely not destroy my shed. Then what are you building this shed for? To enjoy the shade? Kong Xiaoming interrupted. Bingo, you are right. The ultraviolet rays here are so strong that I almost become a dehydrated fish. Look at my delicate skin, it is obvious that it has been tanned. If this goes on, Yenran will dislike me. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming looked at each other and rolled their eyes. Xiao Xiao is the second most beautiful person in the world. No one would dare to be the first. If you have the time, hurry up and practice the other moves in the Devil's Scripture. Isn't it better than wasting your time here? Even if you can't do anything in this round, can't you increase your speed in the next round? Isn't it more reliable to go see your Yenran earlier? Kong Ming couldn't stand it anymore and started nagging. Xiao Xiao was suddenly enlightened. Kong Ming, you finally said something reasonable. Xiao Xiao got up with a grunt. Since he could only pass by practicing the skills, why should he spend so much time waiting? The next skill in the Devil's Scripture was the blazing seal. Xiao Xiao looked at the sun above his head. It should be easier to practice in this place that was closest to the sun. The Devil's Scripture described the blazing seal very clearly. It used the twists and turns of the 10 fingers on the 2 hands to mark the oath. The book said that the seal must be personally accepted by the master and must not be seen by others. Also, it must be burned with incense. Xiao Xiao cursed in his heart. Where is the master? Can't I be self-taught? He didn't care about what the book said. He directly followed the illustration on the book. His 10 fingers intertwined to form different shapes, and combined with his imagination to form flames. An obscure incantation came out of Xiao Zhao's mouth. When the seal is thought to be an armor, the body will be covered in flames, and the disgusting demons will scatter. Xiao Xiao held her breath and concentrated. Through the 10 fingers of her 2 hands, coupled with the thoughts in her heart and the devil qi, streaks of golden light flew up and down along her index finger, forming different hand seals with each other. Her whole body seemed to be covered in a layer of golden light. Wow, why do I feel like the light of Buddha has appeared? Kong Xiaoming opened his eyes wide and looked at Xiao Xiao as if he was a god. Only this face is worth looking at. The animal skin skirt below is really blasphemous. Kong Ming scanned from top to bottom and finally returned to the skinny skirt that was already a little ripped. The well-proportioned muscles of the legs were faintly discernible. At this time, Xiao Zhao's 2 index fingers were connected to the outside world and the inside to the 5 viscera and 6 bowels. At this time, he formed a hand seal and tried to summon external flames. But other than the initial faint golden light, only half a cloud floated in the end, leaving no regrets. While he was cultivating, the sky that had been silent for a long time suddenly let out a long whistle. It was so sharp that it broke people's eardrums. It was as if an unknown golden bird flew out directly from the middle of the sun. Looking from afar, the golden light shone. When it flew closer, it was discovered that it was a burning golden flame. It was only at this moment that one could hear the mournful tone of the roar that tore through the sky. Xiao Xiao, what did you summon? So terrifying? And it has its own flames? Kong Xiaoming was shocked in the bracelet. Xiao Xiao was also baffled. He subconsciously used fire riding the wind, and a golden fire arrow pierced through the bird's body. But the firebird seemed to feel nothing. It was still enduring the torture in the air. It flew up and down in pain, trying to use the cold wind it caused to blow out the fire. But the fire seemed to grow on its body. No matter how strong the wind was, it could only help the fire and make it burn more and more. Gradually, the smell of burnt bird meat wafted into Xiao Zhao's nose, and the mournful cries became more and more hoarse. Xiao Xiao took advantage of the opportunity, and with a leap, she somersaulted in the air like a great rock spreading its wings. She waved the dagger forcefully, and a stream of blood spurted out, and a glittering golden core flew out. Xiao Xiao tapped the dagger on the bird's head, and with the help of this force, her thin waist twisted, and her left hand grabbed forward, and the golden core flew into her bag. With a ding-dong, the voice of the array spirit sounded again. Congratulations to Flying Flame Meteor Xiao Xiao for obtaining the treasure of this level. You have completed the task and can smoothly enter the next level. Xiao Xiao, who had not found his balance in the air, saw the stone bed in front of him disappear. Except for the white and clean clouds under him, there was only air left. Before he could circulate his devil qi, a huge force pulled him down from the sky. Xiao Xiao only had time to cry out, "Ah!" Then, like an aircraft returning to the atmosphere, he fell to the ground at a very fast speed. In the space, Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming all covered their eyes and ears. They also felt the inhuman speed of falling in the bracelet. The feeling of weightlessness was too uncomfortable. All the blood in the body rushed to the top of the head, and the internal organs were about to jump out of the skin. Xiao Zhao's hair stood upright at this time, and there seemed to be an infinite force pulling under his feet. Xiao Xiao hugged his head with both hands. He wanted to curl his body, but he could not. He could only desperately press his hair to prevent his scalp from being directly torn off. In this way, he did not know how long it had been. Maybe it was a minute, maybe it was 2 hours. Xiao Xiao could not even estimate the time. He only knew that in the end, he seemed to have fallen into a bottomless abyss. The cool water poured into his mouth and nose unexpectedly. He felt that he had sunk very deep into the water before he stopped. The light that originally shone from the water surface gradually became dark. But fortunately, he was no longer suspended in the air. Yen Ran had been preparing the materials for her university entrance during this time. Her original dream was to go to the Northern University to study finance, but now the situation at home made her, who was originally full of ambition, hesitate. The concern in her heart was like a silk thread, firmly tying her heart to Nanchuan. One was her family, the other was her feelings for the Nanchuan family, and the most important point was that her Xiao Xiao had not come back yet. The students in the class were nervously preparing for the college entrance examination, but the chairman of Qiao Zhao's fan club, Zhang Deong, had been operating his business conscientiously. He worked hard for the goal of owning a mine at home. He had already sent out the 500 autographed photos in his hand. He acted on his own initiative to register the next wave of appointments, but he did not expect that the next 500 autographed photos would be booked in just one night. He was full of joy as he looked forward to the money falling from the sky. He held Qiao Zhao's photo on his phone screen and kissed it hard twice. 2 big wet lipstick marks were stuck on Qiao Zhao's left and right cheeks respectively. He prayed in his heart that he would be able to persuade Qiao Zhao to sign another 500 autographed photos for him. 2 weeks ago, he sent a message to Qiao Zhao, asking him to have a meal, but it was like throwing a stone into the sea. Today, he could not bear it anymore and directly called Qiao Zhao. He called for a whole day, but the number he dialed was turned off. This was really strange. Qiao Zhao was actually missing. Could it be that he had been blacklisted because of the autographed photos? It could not be. How could that be his brother Qiao? Zhang Deong asked around his classmates, but there was no news about Qiao Zhao. Only then did he feel strange. Since the last time when the street dance competition won the national championship, he had not seen Qiao Zhao appear around him. His circle of friends had also not been updated. He looked at the orders on his phone and felt a headache coming. Finally, he remembered that Qiao Zhao was not willing to answer his calls. There must be someone he cared about. He searched for Yanran's phone number and directly dialed it. "Sister Yanran, you have to help me. I promised to give away 500 autographed photos of Qiao Zhao to someone else, but now brother Qiao can't be contacted at all. What do you think I should do?" Zhang Deong was so anxious that he spoke in a northeastern accent. Yanran's cold voice came from the phone. "He went abroad. He won't be coming back in the near future." This was the wording that Yanran and Uncle Wu had discussed. Zhang Deong was dumbfounded. When did he go abroad? Which country did he go to? Why didn't he tell us anything? He didn't even let us send him off. This brother Qiao is too disloyal. Zhang Deong immediately felt that he had been betrayed by a friend. His longing for Prince Charming was not taken to heart by others at all. "Sister Yanran, did he only tell you?" Zhang Deong's words were actually a little sour. Yanran was silent for a while. "He left in a hurry. Don't tell too many people about this. Give me the photos. I'll sign them for you." Zhang Deong was even more dumbfounded. "Sister Yanran, will this work? Isn't this fake? He needs friends. We have to do our best to help him now. Give me the photos." When Zhang Deong eagerly handed over 500 autographed photos of Qiao Zhao to Yanran, Yanran directly waved the pen and quickly finished signing. The handwriting that she signed was exactly the same as Qiao Zhao's. Zhang Deong's eyeballs almost fell out. "Sister Yanran, you specially practiced brother Qiao's signature? I saw it when I was tutoring him. Next time, if you have this kind of thing, just look for me directly. Also, add me to your fan club. Don't tell anyone who I am. My online username is waiting for you to come back." Chapter 172. Zhang Deong listened attentively. He realized that Yanran had changed. Although they used to be classmates, Yanran was like a high and mighty goddess to them. She was difficult to get close to and always kept a distance. Qiao Zhao was also like a Prince Charming, but Qiao Zhao had a good personality. He was down-to-earth and loyal, so people admired him from the bottom of their hearts. Yanran was like a leader now. As the leader of Qiao Zhao's support group, Zhang Deong felt pressured to hand over his power. However, he liked Yanran even more when she was like this. She blended in with them and had the same goal. It looked like she was still bowing down to Qiao Zhao in the end. "Brother Qiao, you're the best." Yanran didn't care about Zhang Deong's little thoughts. She only wanted to apply. Nanchuan's faculty of finance was not bad, but she didn't know why her name wasn't on the list for the independent admissions. She asked Professor He to help her ask around and found out that it was another higher-up who had made arrangements. Her name had been taken by someone else. After going through so many setbacks, Yanran was very calm about this. It looked like Yi Xuanfei and the others wanted to ruin her. They wanted to block all her paths out. Their hands were getting bigger and bigger, and they had already reached into Nanchuan's university. It looked like not choosing Northern University was the right choice. With them in the way, there was no way she could succeed. Since the independent admissions couldn't happen, she still had one option, which was to take the college entrance exams. Although her studies had been delayed for almost half a year, Yanran wasn't worried. She had a good foundation. Even if she had to take the exams again, she would be able to get into the Faculty of Finance at Nanchuan's University. Yanran carried her backpack and walked into the classroom again. All her classmates were shocked. When they found out that her name had been revoked, they couldn't help but feel indignant. Yanran didn't say anything. She listened attentively with her classmates and studied for the exams together. However, when she returned to school, she felt like something was missing. She was already used to the teacher passing another set of papers to the back of the class. There would always be someone poking her shoulder from behind to whisper to her. She could always hear him joking around with Zhang Deong and Ma Xiaoxian. But now, there was nothing. It turned out that habit was a very scary thing. To suddenly erase all the memories of a person who was already in your life was no different from flaying their skin and pulling out their bones. Everyone was suffering. Yanran was suffering. Qiao Xiao was suffering. Even Zhang Deong, the leader of Qiao Zhao's fan club, slowly realized something. He didn't dare to think or ask. He was still selling autographed photos with Yanran. From time to time, he would make some videos and photos to give fans some benefits. He was suffering in his own dream, hoping that a miracle would happen one day. After settling down so many things, Yanran's personality became more and more stable. The Dongfeng family wanted to see them unable to recover from the setback. They would immediately suppress them if they dared to make a move. Yanran simply closed all the businesses of the southern family to the outside world. In any case, all the basic necessities of the family were guaranteed. Yanran was like a dormant little beast. In front of a powerful enemy, she chose to conceal her strength and keep a low profile. She wanted to protect the safety of the southern family first. And she herself chose the most difficult path. She listened to Uncle Wu's words and took out the Devil World Strange book, Hibiscus Spectrum, and began to study it seriously. She was 17 years old this year. She started cultivating when she was 7 years old. After 10 years, she reached the virtual realm. She believed that with her aptitude, she could still reach the virtual realm in another 10 years, or even faster. It wasn't a big deal. She was still young. She only lost her spiritual power, not her life. As long as she still had the possibility to cultivate, she would one day return to the peak of the cultivation world. Qiao Xiao desperately swam up from the bottom of the water. He felt like his lungs were about to explode. How come he still hadn't reached the surface? However, he gradually saw some light. He knew that he was getting closer. Just as he was feeling happy, a black shadow suddenly enveloped him. Qiao Zhao's heart was alarmed. Sure enough, a huge shark's face appeared next to him. It had already opened its mouth, and 2 rows of sharp teeth were neatly arranged in front of him. Damn! I don't even need to fix my teeth. Qiao Xiao quickly swam to the side. However, the shark's speed in the water was extremely fast. Before Qiao Xiao could react, the 2 rows of sharp teeth had already sunk into his tender body. Qiao Xiao quickly released all the demonic energy in his body. His previous battle experience allowed him to react very quickly. In the water, he used his dagger to block the shark's teeth and somersaulted on top of its head. It was so slippery that he couldn't stand on it. Qiao Xiao simply didn't stop. He stabbed the shark's head and slid down. The shark felt pain and began to twist its body up and down crazily, desperately trying to get rid of the guy on top of its head. With this leverage, Qiao Xiao was thrown out of the water and smashed to the shore like a parabola. Qiao Xiao couldn't care less about the pain in his body. He desperately took a few breaths of oxygen. He was really suffocating. The shark at the bottom of the water also floated to the surface with Chow Chow. At this time, the blood in its head kept flowing, dyeing the water red. The shark's eyes showed resentment and unwillingness. Chow Chow was happy. He raised his middle finger at the shark and said, "Come on. If you have the ability, come ashore." The shark didn't come ashore, but there was suddenly a bigger movement in the water. More sharks were attracted by the blood and dragged it to the bottom of the water. After a while, more blood floated to the surface. Damn, it's really the law of the jungle. Chow Chow finally had a chance to observe his situation. He was on a very small island, surrounded by vast water. He couldn't see the end of it. Chow Chow murmured, "I've become a real-life Robinson Crusoe." He no longer hesitated. The first thing he did when he climbed out of the water was to check his precious mobile phone. The latest mobile phone was said to be waterproof. He had been on the shore for a long time, but he still couldn't turn it on. He pretended to punch and kick the phone angrily and threatened it, "If you don't turn it on, I'll smash it." But the phone was not Kong Xiaoming. There was no response at all. After venting his anger, Chow Chow sat on the shore and looked at the phone in a daze. He suddenly said sadly, "I can't even see the photo now." He carefully put the phone in his animal skin pocket and prepared to start his fourth battle. According to his observation, all the prey in the fourth level were in the water. If he wanted to get the crystal nucleus, he had to fight in the water. Damn it! Up in the sky, down in the ground, down in the sea, none of them were missing. "Let's see what else you have up your sleeve." Chow Chow roared at the sky. Kong Xiaoming clearly felt that Chow Zhao's temper was very bad. He was obviously impatient, worse than before. It seemed that the mobile phone had a big impact on him. He winked at Kong Xiaoming. Kong Xiaoming immediately said, "This level is much better than the previous one. You don't have to look at the sky anymore. Just kill all the prey in the water and you can go to the next level. Then you can see Yanran earlier." The last sentence was the key point of Kong Xiaoming's words. And Chow Chow did take it seriously. In the following days, Chow Chow became a fish in the water. The first few moves of the Devil's Scripture were useless in the water. Not to mention whether the flying flame meteor could summon meteorites into the water, the energy of the mana critical strike was reduced by 80% under the resistance of the water. Not to mention the flying flame meteor. It was like an intercontinental missile that could track a big bird. It was an expert. But once it entered the water, the fire was immediately extinguished. Chow Chow could only use his newly learned flame seal to deal with it. He summoned the flame armor and wrapped his whole body as if he was wearing a diving suit. After entering the water, the fire could not be used, but the shiny armor gave him a great sense of security. He was like a metal shell submarine, swimming in the water with ease. There were many kinds of underwater monsters. Some sharks with very big heads were Chow Zhao's main opponents. And there was a very good point in this level. The harder the fish, the more different the color of the crystal core. Different colors represented different amounts of crystal cores. Chow Chow slowly got the hang of it. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. The red crystal core was the same as the previous levels. And the purple crystal core was like a treasure in Chow Zhao's eyes. One crystal core was worth 7. Chow Chow chased after the sharks with the purple crystal core. His golden armor was not afraid of the shark's sharp teeth. The only thing he needed to pay attention to was that he could not suffocate underwater. This was also the reason why his movements were slow. He needed to fight for a while and then go up to take a breath, which seriously affected his speed. Moreover, when he came up to take a breath, he couldn't see underwater. Once, he was almost attacked by a shark, and its sharp teeth had already bitten his thigh. He only heard a crunching sound, and the place where the two sides collided actually splashed out sparks. Chow Chow was shocked, and conveniently slid the shark's head to his leg, and a huge purple mirror core was taken out by him. From then on, he found the trick. He simply did not go into the water. He just put his 2 slender legs under the water and used them as bait to lure the sharks. Furthermore, the sharks would never disappoint Xiao Xiao. In order to bite those 2 long legs, they disregarded their own safety and swam towards those 2 long legs like moths to a flame. Xiao Xiao sliced open each shark's head like she was cutting a carrot. Kong Xiaoming said strangely, "Are these sharks all female? When they see Xiao Xiao's 2 long legs, they can't walk. But they still want to come up and take a few bites. It's really a beauty that harms fish." After the sharks in the water finished admiring Xiao Xiao's 2 long legs, they were basically all killed by Xiao Xiao. Chapter 173. Xiao Xiao passed this level very quickly. By the time Yan Ran got her acceptance letter and was ready to go to college, he had already passed the 5th level. It had been a year since Xiao Xiao disappeared. Yan Ran stared at the calendar on her phone in a daze. "Sister, it's time to eat." Yan Guo's voice came from the door. "Mom called downstairs several times, but you didn't answer." Yan Ran put away her phone and went downstairs with Yan Guo. Seeing that there were several more dishes on the table than usual, Yan Ran couldn't help but feel strange. "Mom, what's the good news today?" "I say, child, you got your acceptance letter. Isn't that great news? We're not the same as before. Let's just cook a few dishes at home and celebrate." Dad Yan pulled Yan Ran to sit down. Yan Ran faintly tugged at the corner of her mouth. "There's nothing to celebrate. If you ask me, this is pretty good. In the past, you guys were fighting and killing all day, and I was worried sick. Now, the whole family has time to get together, and there's no need to be scared." Mom Yen said as she put food in Yenran's bowl. Yenran looked up at her mother. Mom Yen wasn't very old, and her hair had grown white in the past year. She must be very sad to say that. Okay, let's not talk about this. It's best if the whole family is safe together. Yenran, you're going to college soon. Fortunately, it's close to home. I heard that you have to live on campus, so you can come back on weekends. If you see an outstanding boy in college, you can also fall in love. Yenran didn't expect Dad Yen to be so open-minded. She froze and lowered her head, not saying anything. Yenran, look at you. You've always been cold. Ever since our family's accident, you've become more and more boring. Remember, if you want a boyfriend, you must find one who is extroverted. Otherwise, you 2 saw-mouthed calabashes will be bored to death together. Mother Yen chimed in, "You had a classmate in high school, the one who attended Lu Hui's birthday party last time. I think that boy is not bad. He's handsome and kind-hearted. Which university did he go to?" Yenran choked. She didn't expect her mother to remember Xiao Xiao for so long. She panicked a little as if her thoughts had been exposed. She accidentally dropped her chopsticks on the ground. She quickly lowered her head to pick up the chopsticks to hide her panic. When she sat up again, her little heart was still thumping up and down. "Ah, he went abroad. I think this young man is not bad. Although I've only met him once, he gave me a good impression. He's loyal and loyal. There are not many good boys now. You should keep in touch. I see that his attitude towards you is also very good. With your cold temperament, it's good that someone likes you." Mother Yen kept nagging. Yenron's face was getting redder and redder. "Lu Hui's mother often talks to me about him. She said that this young man is excellent in all aspects. If you really don't like him, why don't you look at Lu Hui? Our 2 families know each other well. His family is also good. Although he can't be compared with that boy, he's still above average. Why don't you think about it and find a chance to go out and play together?" Mother Yen was getting further and further away. "Mom, I'm still young. Why do you worry about this?" Yenran showed a rare shyness of a little girl. "Isn't it because of your temperament? You put everything in your heart and shoulder all the responsibilities. Why do you have to work so hard as a girl? What's that handsome young man's name? It's Xiao Xiao, right? Look at how well his name matches yours. Xiao Xiao Yenran, Xiao Xiao Yenran, Xiao Xiao Yenran. That will definitely make you happy. Yenran couldn't sit still anymore. It was as if there were nails poking at her from the stool. She quickly finished the last mouthful of rice and ran out as if there was a beast chasing after her. From afar, she said, I have something to do at school. Mother Yen couldn't help but feel strange. Isn't our daughter very calm? Why is there such a moment of panic? Little girl's thoughts. Father Yen could tell. Yenran is shy. At this time, Yen Guo interrupted and said proudly, Mom, are you talking about Xiao Xiao? I know this person. He's famous on the internet. I'm a fan of his. Oh, is that so? Mother Yen was interested now. Therefore, Yen Guo fulfilled his responsibility as a fan very well. He told his parents about Xiao Zhao's heroic deeds. The more he talked, the prouder he became, as if he was already his brother-in-law. Xuanfei, the admission letter of Northern University. Is it good? Elder Yi asked for help and finally got an admission letter of Northern University for Yi Xuanfei. Thank you, Grandpa. Yi Xuanfei finally got what she wanted. Looking at the beautifully designed admission letter, she put it on her lips and kissed it twice. According to her grades, she couldn't even get into Nanchuan University. Grandpa was amazing. Grandpa, I heard that Yenran still got into Nanchuan University in the end. Can't you make it so that she can't even go to university? Yi Xuanfei shook her grandfather's hand and pouted coquettishly. It's already a big blow that she wasn't admitted in advance. With her grades, even the principal of Northern University would fight to get her. After all, we still can't disrupt the normal operation of the human world. She got into Nanchuan University with her own ability. There's no other way. I'm afraid that it will have a bad influence if we interfere too much. You have to remember that her school is far worse than yours. She's not qualified to be compared to you now. She doesn't even have spiritual power. She's just an ordinary girl. You're already on 2 different levels. She's not someone you need to pay attention to anymore. Old Master Yi was flushed with success now. Without his biggest competitor, the southern aristocratic family, he was the only one who could control the world of cultivation. What you should be more concerned about now is to find more outstanding talents. You'll be going to university soon. Northern University is full of talents. Many of them are children of the upper echelons. You have to choose a boyfriend who can help our family. Old Master Yi reminded her. Xiao Zhao's figure appeared in front of Yi Xuanfei's eyes. Her heart ached. Okay, Grandpa, I understand. I'll keep my eyes open and watch carefully. And that Huagang. He's chasing you very closely now. How do you feel about him? Grandpa, this kind of person can betray us once. He can betray us a second time. Do you really think he's a big shot? Haha, my granddaughter is so smart. You can see through this person's nature at a glance. But his abilities are not bad. He's already at the peak of Zishuan. Maybe he'll break through to the higher void stage soon. Even if you reject him, you can't let him hate us. We need to make use of him. There are many things we can't do without him. I'll be going to university soon. Are you still going to keep him in Huanghai? I want to send him back to Nanchuan. The southern aristocratic families need someone to manage their large territory. A starving camel is still bigger than a horse. The southern aristocratic families are complicated and the situation is complicated. He's more familiar with the people there and can keep an eye on them. Yi Xuanfei thought about it and smiled sinisterly. She was worried that Yenran was living too comfortably. If Huagang went, she would definitely suffer. She even wanted to transfer to Nanchuan University to watch the show. Grandpa, you're so wise. Xiao Xiao didn't know that Yenran was about to face a crisis. He was also trying to survive in this crisis. When he entered the 5th stage, what welcomed him was an endless rain of arrows that filled the sky. What the hell is this place? Do you want Xiao Xiao to suffer the torture of thousands of arrows piercing his heart? Kong Xiaoming screamed in the bracelet. Countless arrows rained down on Chow Chow from all directions. The arrowhead of each arrow was as sharp as a dart. The arrows were as fast as bullets, and Chow Chow could only hear bang 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 sounds as they rained down on him. Chow Chow was glad that he still had his raging flame armor on him, but even with the armor, he still couldn't cope with the impact of the arrows raining down on him. Chow Chow immediately fell to the ground. He couldn't even open his eyes. There was an arrow flying towards his eyes. Chow Chow was so frightened that he rolled behind a rock. Kong Xiaoming shouted in the bracelet, "Quick, use the next guard seal." Chow Chow immediately sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes. He let the arrows poke his golden armor. The sound of metal colliding and rubbing against each other scraped his eardrums. He closed his eyes and held his breath. His fingers flew up and down, forming the next guard seal. The guard seal was different from the raging flame seal. In addition to forming a golden armor around the body, it could also isolate the attacking object from 3 feet away. What kind of dog fart seal is this? Isn't it just a barrier? If I'm locked in here, how am I going to get the core? Kong Xiaoming in the bracelet let out a sigh of relief. Hearing Chow Zhao's words, he said, "You Chow Chow, how can you look down on our demon scripture? This guard seal is not as simple as you think. When you start fighting magical beasts, you'll experience its benefits." Chow Chow disagreed. However, he could finally straighten his body and walk freely in the rain of arrows. He finally saw that he was now in a mountain forest. At this time, the rain of arrows was actually accelerated raindrops. The sky was pouring with torrential rain. But the torrential rain here was different from other places. It was as if it had mutated. It looked like thousands of darts falling from the sky. F***ck. Even the rain can mutate. Which alien world is this? Before he could take 2 steps, an earth-shattering roar came. It seemed to have an echo in the rain of arrows. It surged back and forth on the mountain wall, filling Chow Zhao's eardrums. Chow Chow was startled. He bent his knees and stopped while covering his ears. He saw a huge saber-toothed tiger coming out of the mountain forest. Its speed was extremely fast. In front of it were frightened small animals that fled in all directions. The tiger's momentum was unstoppable. Chow Chow also had an impulse to run out with those small animals. Kong Xiaoming immediately called out to him, "Why are you running? Hurry up, Crystal Core." Chow Chow reacted. She was indeed shocked by the imposing manner of the tiger descending the mountain. It was too shameful. After killing so many monsters, he was still scared by a tiger. Chow Chow stared at the tiger that was getting closer and closer. He reminded Kong Xiaoming, "Erase this from your memory. Don't let Yanran know." Kong Xiaoming rolled his eyes. "I have too many things that can be used against you. This one won't make a difference." Chow Chow heard this and asked, "Huh? What other dark history?" Kong Xiaoming counted with his fingers and said, "But naked, set up a frame, eat raw meat, and drink raw blood. You are now a big devil." Teeth grinding. It seemed that Kong Xiaoming needed to be educated. After being in the space for so long, his good image was completely destroyed. If he told Yanran, it would be bad. The nature of the devil world must not scare Yanran. Chapter 174. Chow Chow was still thinking about how to bribe Kong Xiaoming to erase his dark history, when the saber-toothed tiger was already very dissatisfied and rushed over. "You dare to challenge my authority, and you dare to be distracted?" It was true that Chow Chow was distracted, but his guard seal was still there. The saber-toothed tiger suddenly slammed into Chow Chow, and the force was so strong that Chow Chow was pushed back dozens of steps. What did it eat to grow up? It's so strong. Chow Chow had just steadied himself and looked at the tiger that was charging towards him. Haha, that hit just now broke the long tooth that grew out of its mouth. The tiger could no longer roar and rolled on the ground in pain. Chow Chow was overjoyed when he saw this. It turned out that the guard's hand seals also had this ability. Qiao Xiao was like a god of war. No one could get close to him, and only he could hit others. He swung his arms, and his left and right hands respectively struck out with mana. His iron-like fists automatically grew by 2 feet, and he smashed down on the tiger's head. The more he hit, the more satisfied Qiao Xiao became. The tiger could not fight back at all, and was constantly smashed by the iron fists. The tiger's eyes showed that it doubted life and begged for mercy, but it was useless. Qiao Xiao's dagger slipped, and a purple crystal core flew into the air. Ha ha ha! Qiao Xiao looked up to the sky and laughed. He did not have to worry about getting hurt anymore. His dark history could be completely ended. Magical beasts, come more fiercely. Nanchuan University, the new students reported. The school was decorated with a jubilant atmosphere. Yanran looked at the students in the school with big and small bags. Only she was relaxed. After finishing all the procedures, she walked towards her dormitory building. Behind her were 4 figures. These were the 4 security guards Uncle Wu hired for her. Yanran said that the school was relatively safe, but Uncle Wu still let the 4 security guards follow from afar for safety's sake. Miss Yanran, just pretend they don't exist. If there's anything, just press the call on the watch. They can rush over in time even if they are nearby. Yanran could not persuade Uncle Wu, so she could only let them follow from afar. After entering the female dormitory, they disappeared. Yanran's dormitory was on the 2nd floor, and 4 people shared a room. She was the latest to arrive, so she slept on the top bunk. The other 3 girls in the dormitory were very friendly and generous. One was from Nanchuan like her. She had fair skin, a chubby face, and collagen covered her face. The other 2 were from other provinces. The cute one with a round face was called Danyao, and the skinny one with high cheekbones was called Linling. Yanran also showed a slight smile to them. Her roommates looked at Yanran's beautiful body and cold temperament with envy. Bai Shuer exclaimed exaggeratedly, "I thought my skin was good enough, but I didn't expect Yanran's face to be as smooth as silk. Can I touch it?" After saying that, she was about to pounce on Bai Shuer. Yanran smiled and dodged. They were just joking around like this, and they immediately became familiar with each other. It seemed that her university life was quite worth looking forward to. University was the same as high school. Every year, the freshmen were the most eye-catching. A few freshmen's photos had already been posted on Nanchuan University's Chieba. Yanran looked at her photo on the Chieba, and she really could not figure out when it was taken secretly. Sigh, without spirit force, even her senses had become worse. Yanran and a few other girls were on the list. Yanran's photo was a side profile photo. She wore a long yellow dress and was walking on campus. The breeze blew her long hair. Yanran lowered her head slightly and used her right hand to tuck her hair behind her ear. It was this gentleness that was captured by others. When her 3 roommates saw this, they all thought that their dorm would be very lively in the future. There would probably be a lot of people coming to find Yanran. At the same time, there were a few handsome guys on the list. Yanran took a look, but none of them were as handsome as Qiao Xiao. If Qiao Xiao entered the school with her, she didn't know what kind of sensation it would cause in the school. She didn't know how this evildoer was now. She threw her phone to the side and started to tidy up her bed. "Hey, quickly come and see. The Chieba said that there's a handsome guy who transferred to the 2nd year. I heard he's very popular. He's now the school hunk." Lin Ling seemed to have discovered a new continent and called the others over. Dan Yao and White Snow quickly squeezed to Lin Ling's side. Let me see. 185 centimeters, 70 kilograms. He looks very buff. Computer Science Department. Originally a top student from Huanghai University. 2nd place in the National Information Science Olympiad. Wow, so badass. He's not bad looking too. A few girls' voices of admiration could be heard. When Yanran heard the words, runner-up of the Information Science Olympiad, her hands paused in the middle of making the bed. His name is Hua Gang. He has been promoted to the new school hunk of the University of Nanchuan. His specialty is basketball. He likes sports and photography. The introduction on the forum was more detailed. Lin Ling and the others read it out word by word. Yenron's heart sank. At this moment, Yenron's WeChat rang. She opened it and saw a picture of her side profile on the Chieba. There was a WeChat message. Are you happy with the picture? It was from Hua Gang. Yenron's face instantly went cold. It seemed he wasn't going to let her go. Indeed, the new school hunk was spoiled by the entire school after a basketball game. A few girls even openly expressed that they wanted to be friends with the school hunk. However, this school hunk was very low profile. Not only did he reject their good intentions, but he also said on some occasions that he already had a goddess in his heart. However, this school hunk was still very close to a few girls. It was rumored that one of the girls had already fallen head over heels for Hua Gang. However, Hua Gang said that unless his goddess died, he wouldn't fall in love with someone else. Thus, this school hunk's goddess became a thorn in the side of those girls. These girls had been in the school for 2 years and accumulated some popularity. Their families had some power and wealth, so they had some prestige among the students. One day, someone spread the news that Hua Gang had taken a side profile photo of a girl who had just entered the school. This girl might be the goddess in Hua Gang's heart. Thus, such a small trick had pushed Yen Ran to the heart of the struggle. Yen Ran, there are a few girls at the door looking for you. They don't seem to be friendly. Bai Shui rushed into the dormitory and shouted at Yen Ran, who was on the upper bunk. Are they people we know? They seem to be third-year girls. I didn't know them before. Yen Ran walked to the door of the dormitory in doubt and saw 3 girls waiting for her with cold faces. She really looks like a vixen. She has an ant-like waist, straight shoulders, and long legs. She's just a freshman, but she's already so flirtatious. She's so seductive that the schoolboy's soul has left his body. Seeing her today, I didn't come here in vain. The 3 girls' words were very unpleasant. Yen Ran immediately understood that these 3 girls were here for Hua Gang. She laughed in her heart. They were fighting over such a scumbag. I'm sorry. Is there a mistake? I have a boyfriend. Hua Gang has nothing to do with me. Oh, if you ask your boyfriend to come out and show us, I'll believe you. Otherwise, please stay away from Hua Gang. The 3 girls looked aggressive. My boyfriend went abroad. When he comes back, he'll definitely dazzle you. Hua Gang will give you a gift. Yenron's imposing manner and condescending eyes made the girls completely believe that Yenran looked down on Hua Gang. With just a few words, the 3 girls were skeptical. Yenron's words were recorded by someone and played repeatedly on the front page of Chieba. Hua Gang saw it and sneered. Boyfriend went abroad? She was still thinking about Xiao Xiao, who was already gone. She didn't want to cry even when she saw the coffin. There would be a time when she wanted to cry. Bai Shui sat in the dormitory and looked at Yenron's domineering reply on the front page of Chieba. Her eyes widened and she turned to Yenran, who was on the top bunk, and gave her a thumbs up. Yenran, do you know? During this period of time, no less than 50 boys have asked me about your situation. I heard the sound of their hearts breaking when they heard your official announcement. If you don't like Hua Gang, then isn't your boyfriend a god who has descended to the mortal world? Yenran looked up from her book. Hearing Bai Shui's words, she tilted her head and thought for a moment. Based on his looks, he is. Dan Yao was excited. Do you have a photo? Let us see it. Yenran was shy for a moment. Let's wait. Yenran, are you lying to us? You don't like Hua Gang? Is that an excuse? Lin Ling also joined in the discussion. But that's true, everyone has their own preferences. I don't really like people like Hua Gang. Although he's excellent in all aspects, his eyes are unfathomable. One look and I can tell he's a scheming person. However, your words are really domineering. Your aura is definitely strong. Didn't you see those 3 girls who were originally arrogant suddenly become half a head shorter? You are a natural-born king. During this period of time, the 3 girls in the dormitory had completely trusted and relied on Yenran. She was smart, decisive, and had good grades. She showed excellent performance in all aspects. Her family was relatively poor. Other than going to school normally, she had to go out to work and do some tutoring to earn some living expenses. Yanran often bought fruits for her or helped her get food. When she came back late, she would casually give her the class notes for the day. Bai Shui was a little muddle-headed and couldn't find anything. Yanran also took on the role of doorman. As long as something was missing, Bai Shui would call out to Yanran, "Where's my something?" Then, Yanran would appear out of nowhere. Dan Yao was a very loyal girl. Once, after Yanran helped her catch a thief, she completely stood on Yanran's side. She was very annoyed at those girls who came to provoke her. If you have the ability, go find the male lead. Why are you looking for Yanran? Just like that, Yanran's life in the dorm was still very harmonious. She had taken all sorts of protective measures and never went out alone. Other than the 4 bodyguards following her from afar when she went out, Yanran spent most of her time in the dorm reading. Chapter 175. Qiao Xiao had the most fun in the 5th level. He completely beat up the saber-toothed tigers. It was also in this level that Qiao Xiao finally learned that tigers also lived in groups. When he went deep into the forest, he found that there were nearly 100 tigers lying there, basking in the sun. He was really surprised. Then he stretched out his flexible and powerful tongue and licked around his lips. His eyes were shining with excitement. He said to Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming in the space, "I searched high and low for you, only to find you by chance. I want to earn back all the time I spent fighting the birds of prey in the air." After saying that, he released the guard seal and rushed towards the group of tigers alone. A saber-toothed tiger lying on the ground saw Qiao Xiao rushing over. It slowly stood up, and its eyes were full of contempt, as if it was saying, "You don't need to use a sledgehammer to kill a chicken." The other tigers were still wagging their tails, squinting their eyes and enjoying the sun. They didn't even bother to look at Qiao Xiao. But after a few seconds, a purple crystal core flew into the sky. The 6 corners of the crystal core shone brightly under the sunlight, blinding the eyes of the group of tigers. Like a bomb, it exploded among the group of tigers. All the tigers seemed to have been electrified. They crawled up from the ground and then let out an earth-shattering roar. The earth shook and the mountains shook. Leaves fell from the surrounding trees. The birds and small animals in the forest were greatly frightened. The tiger roars were mixed with the cries of some small animals. It was so noisy that Qiao Xiao frowned and covered her ears with her hands. After the tiger roars ended, a group of tigers rushed to Qiao Xiao. But when they got close, they found that an invisible barrier separated them. Qiao Xiao's arm could be stretched infinitely like a spring. His left fist was clenched tightly, and his right iron fist was holding a dagger horizontally. And it was this dagger that reflected a terrifying cold light under the sun. At this moment, he was like a harvester. With one slash, the tigers that were charging forward saw a streak of blood fly past the heads of their companions in front of them. Their bodies fell limply to the ground. They were so frightened that they stopped charging forward and turned around to flee. At this time, Qiao Xiao was like a killing god. How could he allow the animals that fell to his mouth to escape? He shouted, "Flying fire meteor, wind ride." He quickly recited the incantation in his heart, and large pieces of meteorites and rockets fell from the sky. All the tigers showed a look of horror in their eyes. They began to flee in all directions, but they couldn't escape the flying fire from the sky. The earth-shaking tiger roars turned into tiger screams in the blink of an eye. Qiao Xiao was in the mood to kill. He imitated the tiger and let out an earth-shaking roar. His voice resounded through the clouds, giving Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming a fright. "Qiao Xiao, don't tell me you've been demonized? Why do you look like the reincarnation of a demon king?" Qiao Xiao hurriedly covered his mouth with his hand. He didn't realize how loud his voice was. It seemed that he didn't demonize in the human world. Instead, he mobilized all his demonic nature in this space. But as the prince of the demon world, in the world of Warcraft, no one dared to compete with him. Just when Xiao Xiao was killing without restraint in the forest, the War Soul's voice sounded, "Congratulations, Flying Fire Meteor, Xiao Xiao, for obtaining 1,000 crystal cores in a very short time and smoothly entering the 6th level. F*CK, entering the 6th level so quickly, I haven't killed enough yet." He jumped up and didn't fall down. The 1,000th crystal core in his hand was still floating in the air. He was about to reach out to grab it, but he found that the crystal core had turned into a black thing, and his hand was full of it. A cold and hard feeling came from the palm of his hand. At this moment, Xiao Xiao felt that there were countless feet moving in his palm. This restless feeling was instantly transmitted to his cerebral cortex. Then, from his scalp, he felt numb, along his head and neck, and straight back to the palm of his hand. Goosebumps rose all over his body. Xiao Xiao screamed and swung his hand. A group of black things spread out from the palm of his hand in all directions. One of them flew in front of his eyes. It stared at him with small eyes that were not even the size of mung beans. There were 2 miniature wings behind it, and 4 feet and a long wedge-shaped tail swaying in front of his eyes. Xiao Xiao was stunned for a moment, causing his body to fall from the air. He thought it was just a short distance, but after 4 seconds of acceleration, he felt like he was falling down an 18-story building. He rolled down from the top of the mountain. Fortunately, he had armor to protect his body. When he stopped, he found himself in a swarm of insects. "Yenran, it seems like it's going to rain heavily outside. Lin Ling isn't back yet." As soon as Dan Yao said this, the rain kept falling like a broken string of pearls. Following a few claps of thunder, the dark sky was illuminated by the lightning and turned into daytime. In the blink of an eye, the sound of rain joined together to form a series of rumbling sounds. It was as if countless cracks had appeared in the sky. A gust of wind blew the windows until they were rattling. A large expanse of dark clouds rushed over from the northern horizon, mixed with streaks of lightning and bursts of thunder. In an instant, a strong wind blew and dark clouds covered the sky. Then, bean-sized raindrops fell from the sky and hit the windows. Another thunderclap was deafening. In an instant, the raindrops connected into a line. Then, the rain poured down from the sky as though the sky was collapsing. The rain instantly converged into a waterfall and poured down like a flood. "Hurry up and close the window. The rain is coming in." Bai Shui's bed was next to the window. He and Dan Yao hurriedly ran over, but at this moment, their hair and sleeves were wet. "I've never seen such heavy rain." Yenran climbed down from the top bunk. Looking outside, the rain fell from the sky like crazy. The dark sky seemed like it was going to collapse. There were anomalies in the sky. What about Lin Ling? She isn't back yet. I heard that she finally found a rather expensive tutor, but it's quite far away. It's in a mansion near the back of the mountain. Lin Ling said that there's no bus after 7 o'clock at night. It's raining so heavily. How is she going to come back? Yenran looked at her phone. It was almost 9 o'clock. She probably didn't catch the bus. "Don't worry, I'll think of a way to get someone to pick her up." Yenran's words were like a reassurance pill that calmed the hearts of her 2 roommates. Yenran called her 4 bodyguards and asked them to send someone to pick Lin Ling up. After everything was arranged, she went back to her bed to read. "It's good to be a local. Yenran, is your family quite rich? Do you have a chauffeur?" Bai Shui asked curiously. "I asked a friend for help, not my chauffeur." "Is it that boyfriend of yours?" Yenran, can you tell us about your boyfriend? Satisfy our curiosity." Dan Yao blinked her sparkling eyes and gossiped over. Yenran couldn't do anything about it. She recalled the person she had been thinking about day and night. A sweet smile appeared on her face. "He's very good at showing off. He's extremely narcissistic, but he's very kind and handsome." "Wow, I'm so jealous." "No, Yenran, you didn't show us the photos last time. This time we must see them." Bai Shui was about to snatch Yenran's phone. Dan Yao also kept tickling Yenran. Yenran held her phone close to her chest, a rare smile blossoming on her face. At this moment, her phone suddenly rang. In the midst of their laughter, Yenran did not see who it was and picked it up. "Hello." She dragged the sound of laughter, but when she heard the voice on the phone, her laughter stopped. Her face immediately became gloomy. She raised her hand to stop Bai Shui and Dan Yao. Then she got off the bed and took her coat and umbrella. She said to Bai Shui and Dan Yao, "I have something to do. I'll go out for a while." Bai Shui and Dan Yao saw that Yenron's face changed so quickly. They didn't know what had happened. But before they could ask anything, Yenran had already walked away. The phone call just now was like a curse. Yenran walked very fast. She called the bodyguards and asked them to escort her to save people. The phone call just now was from Hua Gang. He just gasped and said, "If you want your roommate to be safe, come to the back of the mountain." Yenran walked out of the dormitory door without looking back. The housekeeper downstairs stretched her head and shouted, "Student, it's not safe outside in such a heavy rain. Don't go out." The storm outside was even fiercer. Before Yenran even reached the school gate, her clothes were already soaked. A thick layer of puddles had already accumulated on the ground, reaching her ankles. Yenran's flat boots were about to be submerged in it. When Yenran walked to the gate, the bodyguard's car was already waiting there. Yenran got in the car and explained the situation briefly. The car quickly turned around in the heavy rain and drove to the back of the mountain like an arrow. The bodyguards had been following Yenran for a while. This girl was steady and imposing. The aura of a superior made them involuntarily obey. But they basically couldn't play a big role in the school. Other than blocking some harassment for Yenran, they didn't know that it was because of them that Hua Gang hadn't found a chance to make a move. But tonight, they actually officially went out on a mission. The bodyguards seemed to have been injected with chicken blood. Heroes finally had a place to be used. But they didn't expect that on their first mission, they would be facing a strong opponent. The visibility on the road was very low, but the well-trained car still drove very fast. The windshield wipers were adjusted to the maximum, but they still couldn't see the road ahead. The bodyguard driving was covered in sweat. Luckily, there weren't many cars on the road. Otherwise, a chain collision would be a small matter. The roadside billboards also had to show their presence in the heavy rain. They were constantly pressed to the ground by the heavy rain, making clanking sounds. Yenran sat in the front passenger seat. Her eyes were cold and her mouth was pursed. She was like a hibernating leopard staring at the road ahead. Lin Ling's phone couldn't be reached long ago. The people who went to pick her up didn't pick up at all. There was no other way to save her. Chapter 176. After Yenran rushed to the back of the mountain, she got out of the car with an umbrella and ordered several bodyguards to wait below. The bodyguards looked at each other. "Miss Yenran, we're here to protect you. How can you let us go? You guys aren't a match. You'll die if you go up. Wait for me below. If Lin Ling comes down, save her," Yenran said expressionlessly and walked up the mountain without waiting for their reaction. The bodyguards looked at each other and gave each other a look. One of them stayed in the car and waited while the other two secretly followed. In the heavy rain, the back mountain had long lost its usual spiritual energy. At this time, the cliffs and precipices stood erect in the rain. Pieces of strange rocks on the peak of the mountain swayed in the heavy rain. In the darkness, the mountain road was rugged and winding. Yenran walked step by step. After losing her spiritual power, Yenran knew how difficult it was to walk on the mountain road. However, she still struggled to climb up, wanting to reach the shadow at the top of the mountain as soon as possible. "You're finally here. You're too slow. I can't wait." She couldn't see anything clearly in the heavy rain. Yenran didn't see Hua Gang until she reached the top of the mountain. He was leaning in the shadow of a big rock, accepting the baptism of the rain. He had an evil smile on his face, as if he was still holding a glass of precious red wine in his hand. The light from the glass shone on his face, making him feel comfortable and satisfied. "Where's Lin Ling?" Yanran asked directly. "You're still the same. You always put the lives of humans first. Why didn't you greet me first?" Hua Gang walked out of the shadow. At this moment, Yanran realized that Hua Gang's clothes were tattered. A large part of his skin was exposed. Her eyes narrowed. Did he break through? "Where's Lin Ling?" Yanran asked again. "She's there. She's unlucky today. It's raining heavily and she was still wandering around the mountain. She happened to meet me." Hua Gang pointed at Lin Ling, who was hiding behind the rock. Yanran quickly went up and ran over. At the same time, she set up a formation behind her. Hua Gang was instantly included in the formation. Yanran was about to help Lin Ling leave, but she saw Hua Gang, who disappeared, appear in front of her in a few seconds. Yanran was alarmed. "Not good." As expected, Hua Gang said, "Aren't your insignificant skills showing off in front of me now?" After saying that, Hua Gang swept over with a strong wind, and the two bodyguards behind Yanran fell out of their hiding places. Yanran quickly calmed down. "You guys came at the right time. Send Lin Ling back." "Miss Yanran, this person doesn't look normal. Come with us." "Ha ha ha." Hua Gang grabbed with his right hand and Yanran was pulled into his arms. "She won't be able to leave tonight." The two bodyguards couldn't stand it anymore and were about to go up when Yanran yelled, "Don't worry about me. Take Lin Ling and go down the mountain." The two bodyguards didn't want to give up at all. One of them charged up, but Hua Gang waved his hand lightly, and a huge force came and sent him rolling down the mountain. The other bodyguard was dumbfounded. Yanran yelled, "Take Lin Ling and leave." That bodyguard stomped his feet and ran down the mountain with Lin Ling on his back. "Tell me, when can you change your character of taking responsibility for everything by yourself? If you were more cold-hearted today, would you have fallen into my hands? What does that Lin Ling have to do with you? Don't you usually stay in the dorm at school? You should give your bodyguards a raise. They have helped you a lot. Otherwise, I would have caught you long ago." Hua Gang held Yanran in his arms and whispered intimately, as if he was whispering to his lover. Yanran's whole body was stiff, and the hand that was hugging her waist was like a red-hot iron ring. In this torrential rain, the temperature did not decrease in the slightest, and she was firmly imprisoned inside. "I asked you to come today because I have a piece of good news to share with you. Not long before you came, I broke through to the Great Void State. Did you see the phenomenon in the sky? That's for me." Hua Gang was in a great mood. He didn't even realize that his mouth was full of rainwater. It was just as Yanran thought. No wonder his clothes were torn. He really broke through. He could escape last time, but it seemed that it would be difficult today. "How is it, Yanran?" "I'm very strong now. Why don't you consider following me? Even if I can't marry you, you have the right to stay by my side. In your dreams. Don't even think about it." Yanran's eyes blazed as she spat out a few words from between her teeth. "Your little mouth is so stubborn. Come, let me have a taste. What does it taste like?" Hua Gang leaned over and kissed Yanran's sexy lips. Yanran couldn't move at all. She could only grit her teeth and let Hua Gang do whatever he wanted. Hua Gang tried for a long time but couldn't pry open Yanran's mouth. He moved away a little. "What? You're as hard as a piece of wood. Relax. Don't be nervous. Today, we'll use the sky as our blanket and the ground as our bed. How about we do it on the peak of this mountain? F*ck your uncle. What the hell is this?" Chow Xiao suddenly jumped up from the pile of insects. Kong Xiaoming's teeth chattered up and down. He said with a trembling voice, "It seems to be a pile of insects." He held Kong Ming's hand tightly. "I have trypophobia. I get goosebumps all over when I see these insects." "Don't talk about you. Even I feel the same. Fortunately, I have armor. Otherwise, it would be disgusting." Chow Chow shook up and down with all his might. He quickly shook off the insects around him. Hurry up and use your ultimate move. There are so many insects. It's so itchy. Kong Xiaoming kept scratching up and down. It was as if the insects had already climbed onto his body. Chow Chow didn't talk nonsense anymore. He used Flying Fire Meteor, Mana Critical Strike and Wind Ride. The pile of insects was on fire, but the effect was minimal. After stewing for a while, there were only a few insects that were crushed or burned to death. Not to mention the Mana Critical Strike. Chow Chow stretched out his arms and punched those big magical beasts with his enlarged fists. It was really a punch to the flesh and bone. But it was this miniature insect that slid down Chow Chow's fist like it was covered in lubricant. When Chow Chow wasn't paying attention, it went around to the back of Chow Chow and desperately hit the armor. Chow Chow tossed and turned for a long time, but he didn't get a single crystal core. It's better to fight big magical beasts. This small one is like a mosquito. It only buzzes in your ear. No matter how you hit it, it won't die. Have you forgotten about your new ability? You have to learn a new skill in order to pass each level. Kong Ming reminded. I see now. This yin-yang formation was designed for me by the people of the demon realm. They forced me to master it before letting me out. I feel my father's figure here. Chow Chow gritted his teeth and said, he's not afraid that I'll stay here for too long. His son's crown princess will run away with someone else. Can't you marry a lot of concubines in the demon realm? Of course your father isn't worried. Kong Xiaoming reminded him in the bracelet. There are so many concubines. Which one is better than Yanran? No, I have to go out quickly. It's been so long. It'll be bad if she forgets me. Chow Chow calmed down and recited the mnemonic of the sixth skill, Flying Sand and Rolling Stone. Suddenly, a patch of gray appeared in the blue sky in the distance. It kept extending forward, becoming bigger and wider. It blocked the sun and covered the sky like a blanket of the night god. Slowly approaching, it was like a yellow dragon rising. The sound was like a cow's roar, like thunder rolling. A trembling yellow line was getting wider and wider. Then, the sky darkened. Flying sand and rolling stones, the wind roared. The sky was full of yellow sand and stones dancing in the sky. In an instant, the sky was full of miasma and fell straight to the ground. Damn it, a sandstorm. Dream on, don't think about it. Yenron's eyes were full of fire. She squeezed out a few words from between her teeth. This little mouth is so stubborn. Come, let me have a taste. What does it taste like? Huagang leaned over and kissed Yenron's sexy thin lips. Yanran couldn't move. At this time, she could only clench her teeth. Unable to resist, she could only let Huagang do whatever he wanted. Huagang tried for a long time, but he couldn't pry open Yenron's mouth. He moved away a little. What's wrong? You're as hard as a piece of wood. Relax, don't be nervous. Today, with the sky as the medium and the ground as the bed, the two of us will have sex on the top of this mountain. What do you think? Damn it, what the hell is this around? Chow Chow suddenly jumped out of the pile of insects. Kong Xiaoming's teeth chattered. He said with a trembling voice, it seems to be a pile of insects. He held Kong Ming's hand tightly. I have trypophobia. Seeing these insects makes my hair stand on end. It's not just you. Even I feel the same way. Thankfully, I have armor. Otherwise, I would be disgusted to death. Chow Chow shook her body up and down with all her might to shake off the surrounding bugs. Hurry up and use your ultimate skill. There are so many insects, I'm itching to death. Kong Xiaoming kept scratching up and down, as if the insects had already climbed onto his body. Chow Chow didn't talk nonsense anymore. He used Flying Fire Meteor, Mana Critical Strike, and Wind Riding. The pile of insects burned brightly, but the results were minimal. After a while of stewing, there were only a few insects that were crushed or burned to death. Not to mention the Mana Critical Strike. Chow Chow stretched out his arms and punched those big magic beasts with his enlarged fists. His punches really hit the flesh, and the sound of his punches penetrated the bones. But it was this miniature insect that slid down Chow Chows fists as if its body was smeared with lubricant. When Chow Chow wasn't paying attention, it went around to the back of Chow Chow and hit the armor with all its might. Chow Chow tossed and turned for a long time, but he didn't get a single crystal core. It's better to hit the big magic beasts. This small one is like a mosquito, only buzzing in your ear. No matter how you hit it, it can't be killed. Have you forgotten about your new ability? You have to learn a new skill in order to pass each level. Kong Xiaoming reminded. I can see now that this Yinyang formation was designed for me by the people of the demon realm. They forced me to master it before they let me out. I feel my father's figure here. Chow Chow gritted his teeth and said, he's not afraid that I'll stay here for too long and his son's crown princess will run away with someone else. Can't you marry a lot of concubines in the demon realm? Of course, your father isn't worried. Kong Xiaoming reminded him in the bracelet. So many concubines, which one is better than Yen Ran? No, I have to go out quickly. It's been so long, it'll be bad if she forgets me. Chow Chow calmed down and recited the mnemonic of the sixth skill, flying sand and stones. A gray color suddenly appeared in the blue sky in the distance. It constantly extended forward, became bigger, and widened. It was like a blanket of the night god blocking the sun and covering the sky. It slowly approached, like a yellow dragon rising. The sound was like the roar of a cow, like the rolling of thunder. A trembling yellow line was getting wider and wider. Then, the sky darkened. Flying sand and stones, the wind roared. The sky was full of yellow sand and stones dancing in the sky. In an instant, the sky was full of miasma and fell straight to the ground. Damn, a sandstorm. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.